Chapter 432. Just as everyone was shocked by Li Shang's primordial sacred wood seal, a bolt of lightning tore through the sky. Bang! Boom! Lin Shen's body was bathed in countless lightning bolts. His thunder calamity battle body was like the king of thunder and fire. He stood proudly, and the hand seals in his hands suddenly changed. Above Lin Shen's head, an Azura demon statue hundreds of feet tall, surrounded by lightning bolts, appeared. It had 3 heads and 6 arms, and its hand seals changed rapidly like Lin Shen's. Its afterimages were like lightning. Countless lightning bolts gathered in Lin Shen's palms. His 10 fingers moved rapidly, and the lightning bolts traveled back and forth in the cauldron. Countless spiritual power controlled the lightning bolts and sent them into the dozens of medicinal herbs' energy essences. His spiritual power flickered with lightning bolts, and it quickly removed the outer shells of the 2 high-grade, Class 6 vicious beast cores. As it removed the impurities, it instantly crushed them and sent them into a torrent of energy. Even though they were just 2 high-grade Class 6 vicious beast cores, the speed at which they were refined was still shocking. It's the Han family's 10,000 flash lightning hand. I didn't expect to see the 10,000 flash lightning hand again after 10,000 years. Many of the Han family's higher-ups were crying tears of joy, but the shock in their hearts was no less than anyone else's. Because after they gave the 10,000 lightning hands to Lin Shen, in less than a month, he had already cultivated it to the acme of perfection. In the Han family's eyes, this kind of talent was definitely more terrifying than Li Shang, the descendant of the Pill Sage. But it's still not clear who will win. The 10,000 flash lightning hand is only a high-grade blue rank technique, but in Lin Shen's hands, it's a top-grade blue rank technique. But Li Shang's proficiency with the primordial sacred wood seal is second only to Lin Shen's perfection in the 10,000 flash lightning hand. It's also a kind of peak attainment. Just as the experts were wondering which side had the upper hand, Lin Shen's hand seals suddenly changed again. 10,000 flash lightning in his left hand and clear spring in his right. 2 types of alchemy hand seals were executed perfectly at this moment. Countless afterimages rapidly formed. Lin Shen's hands actually displayed 2 types of alchemy hand seals at the same time. A wisp of energy that was as clear as a spirit spring was injected into the ball of energy. As it was refined, the speed of condensing the core became even faster. Wei Qingma and Si Ruffing of the heavenly state and Qing Shuzi of the spiritual state all stood up at this moment. His expression was both fanatical and aghast as he lost his voice. A single hand seal. This kid actually used a single hand seal. Using 2 kinds of alchemy hand seals at the same time to condense a pill, how crazy is he? What level of understanding does he have to have in order to dare to do this? Crazy. He must be a lunatic. If you perform 2 completely different hand gestures at the same time, you will lose the whole game if you make any mistake in the process of spiritual manipulation or battle chi operation. Forming a seal with 1 hand. The realm that Lin Shen had reached had completely surpassed the alchemy masters of the 2 continents. What was even crazier was that Lin Shen was using 2 different alchemy hand seals at the same time, displaying the characteristics of each hand seal to the extreme. Li Shang's eyes glanced around. Even though he was concentrating on alchemy, he couldn't help but become serious. He didn't expect Lin Shen to have reached such a realm. In terms of alchemy experience and skills, Li Shang, was obviously at a disadvantage compared to Lin Shen. Boom! The alchemy hand seals changed again. Lin Shen's left hand was like 8 dragons, and his right hand was surrounded by 10,000 lightning bolts. His spiritual energy was like a tide. He was still King changing the alchemy hand seals. This scene made some of the alchemy masters in the audience twitch their mouths. The young boys and girls in the venue couldn't help but stare at the silver-robed figure with admiration and longing. What kind of scene was that? The switching of the alchemy hand seals was as smooth as flowing water, as if they were one. The agile energy was like dancing fairies that merged into the alchemy furnace. It was as if it carried endless glory and was constantly surpassing at this moment. That carefree side profile seemed to be calm and composed, and the evil, charming smile on the corners of his mouth revealed a wisp of arrogance. Another 2 days passed. On the 8th day, the embryonic pills of the two were about to be born. Just when everyone thought that Lin Shun was about to catch up to Li Shang and surpass him, a strong pressure surged out from Li Shang's body like a tide. It was like a hurricane that destroyed the venue. All the alchemy masters could feel an inexplicable sense of oppression. Lin Shun, I have to admit that among mortals, you are indeed very strong. But I, Li Shang, am even stronger. Li Shang opened his eyes and activated a mysterious force. His spiritual energy had temporarily stepped into the middle stage of the transcendence realm. His head of black hair had transformed into a grayish-white color, making him look sinister and fierce. The speed of condensing the pill suddenly increased. At this time, Li Shang's speed of using the eternal sacred wood seal was even faster. The 100-feet-long wooden dragon flew around the alchemy furnace. Its dragon breath was like a tide, tempering the energy of all the medicinal ingredients in the alchemy furnace at full speed. He used the power of the pill saint's bloodline. His spiritual fluctuations are like ripples that flashed rapidly. Every change is extraordinary. I'm afraid that the power of the pill saint's bloodline has the effect of increasing the alchemy hand seals. This Li Shang wants to use the power of his bloodline to forcefully suppress Lin Chen's experience advantage. What a pity. In terms of alchemy experience, skills, and even understanding of alchemy, Heavenly Song Academy's Lin Chen is obviously better, but he will still lose. Seeing that the wooden dragon was so lifelike, the crowd was shocked. Even Lin Chen was a little surprised. He didn't expect the pill saint's bloodline to have such an effect. Ha ha ha. In the end, the first place on the heavenly spirit list still belongs to me, Li Shang. Li Shang's face was slightly pale, but he couldn't help but laugh wildly. At this time, Lin Chen slowly got up and stood proudly with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Do you think you're the only one with a trump card? As soon as he said that, Li Shang's wild laughter came to an abrupt end. Buzz! Buzz! A spiritual fluctuation that was exactly the same as Lin Chen's appeared, and two silver-robed figures stood proudly in the venue. This time, it wasn't just the alchemy grandmasters. The pupils of all the powerhouses watching the competition shrank slightly. At this time, what appeared in front of them were actually two Lin Shun. These two Lin Shun, whether at the Heaven Dipper realm or the 9th level of the Yuan Venerate realm, couldn't tell who was the real one and who was the fake one, because they were exactly the same. Spiritual power emerged, and Lin Chen's two heavenly calamity battle bodies were activated, including his phantom doppelganger. With the 10,000 lightning hand in his left hand and the 3 pure spiritual water in his right hand, Lin Shun and his phantom doppelganger used 2 kinds of alchemy hand seals at the same time. One was the main alchemist, and the other was the auxiliary alchemist. The moment the 2 Lin Shun of the same level combined together, the energy in the pill furnace glowed with a new energy fluctuation. The minds of the crowd went blank. Li Shang, as if his throat was being strangled, let out an owl-like cry. Chapter 433. According to the rules, Lin Chen's clone was his own technique and didn't break the rules. However, to everyone's surprise, it was impossible for any clone technique to be as precise as Lin Chen's. It had all of the original body's strength and alchemy skills. What kind of god-level clone technique was this? This was something that couldn't be realized in theory. The 4 phantom runes made all the masters' scalps tingle. However, when the masters from Tianzhou came back to their senses, they were even more greedy. If they could obtain this technique, wouldn't it be the same as having an extra life-saving trump card? Although Lin Shun was from the Heavenly Song Academy, the temptation of this clone technique was too great. No one could guarantee that they wouldn't attack Lin Shun. Li Shang from Tianzhou, are you surprised? Class rep. Kill this guy and take first place back to the spiritual state. Big brother Lin Shun, do your best. Lin Lang, don't push yourself too hard. Everyone in class 66 cheered for Lin Shun. Originally, the gap between Lin Shun and Li Shang wasn't that big. When both sides used their trump cards, Li Shang was only slightly ahead of Lin Shun. However, Lin Shun's phantom runes, which consumed 20 rune energy, completely stunned him. One Lin Shun was already so difficult to deal with. Now, there was another Lin Shun. What's more, he was going to be an auxiliary alchemist and help with alchemy. It would be an unprecedented boost to the embryonic pill. How could he have such a profound doppelganger technique? No, I can't lose my focus. There might be flaws in the refinement of the embryonic pill. No matter what, before the pill is refined, it's still unknown who will win. Li Shang gritted his teeth and withstood the enormous pressure. He formed a seal with both hands to stabilize the wooden dragon as his mental energy continued to surge. While the two Lin Shuns were immersed in the grand feast of changing hand seals, another day had unknowingly passed. The 9th day had arrived. The embryonic pill was about to be born. At this time, Lin Shun made a shocking move. He suddenly stood up, clapped his hands, and chuckled. All right, it's done. There's nothing else for me to do now. Huh? What do you mean by there's nothing left for you to do? This embryonic pill was about to be born. There were only a few days left before it would condense into a low-grade pill. At such a critical moment, you actually said that it had nothing to do with you? What was even more amazing was that after Lin Shun stood up, his phantom doppelganger quickly took over his position and became the new main pharmacist. A portion of the battle chi of 9th Calamity in Lin Shun's battle chi natal palace disappeared. The 39 spiritual seeds spun rapidly, releasing a massive amount of spiritual power that was transferred to his doppelganger along with the battle chi. He took out a homemade cigarette, lit it, and slowly walked down the stage. Seeing this scene, a thought that no one had dared to think about before suddenly emerged. His mind trembled. Don't tell me he's thinking of leaving his doppelganger behind to participate in other competitions. What else could it be? It can't be that the one who stays behind is the main body, and the one who goes to the competition is a clone, right? Isn't this too crazy? Does he want to rely on his doppelganger to determine the winner with Li Shang? Li Shang, who had noticed this scene, shouted angrily, "Arrogant! Lin Shun, who the F***ck are you looking down on? Don't tell me you want to defeat me with just a doppelganger?" Lin Shun blew out a smoke ring, which rotated to form the word boring, and smiled lightly. "I'm not afraid of a true descendant of a god. You're just a descendant of a pill sage. Why would I need to use my real strength against you? My doppelganger is enough to deal with you." After that, Lin Shun did not even turn his head and left coolly. When he blew out the last puff of smoke, the smoke ring rotated and turned into a word that slowly rose into the air. The millions of spectators in the venue and the countless spectators who were watching the Demon Eye Stone were all dumbfounded. Xiao! The spectators saw Xiao flying into the sky alone, but when they looked back, they didn't see him again. Next round. Half a day later, in the forging venue, the 3rd round of the finals. At this time, the battle had already reached its climax. Xing Moyu, a genius from the Heavenly Book Academy, Meng Xiangqing from the Sky State, and Murong Qingxue from the Spirit State had all advanced to the finals. However, the moment Lin Shun stepped into the forging venue, he immediately attracted the attention of all the spectators, and the winds and clouds in the venue changed. In this Heavenly Spirit List forging competition, there was almost no opponent who could fight against Lin Chen's Golden Sun forging technique. Is he here? Murong Qingxue felt that unique aura and suddenly turned around, her beautiful eyes staring at Lin Shun with a complicated expression. In her mind, the gentle young man who was as calm as water and the young man who had a wild and overbearing smile on his face from the beginning to the end combined together, causing the beautiful woman's heart to tremble. Just as everyone was looking forward to what grade of weapon Lin Shun was going to forge in the finals of the forging competition, he took out a dim golden war spear. Judges, this time, I plan to reforge this weapon. I wonder if it can be used as a result of the competition. What Lin Shan showed was the Five Dragons Imperial Spear that had been destroyed in the battle with Hanma Bai. Some of the judges frowned and whispered to each other. The blacksmiths in the audience shook their heads in amazement. Not only did they have to maintain the characteristics of the original weapon, but they also had to repair it with high precision. Repairing a damaged high-grade weapon was often more difficult than reforging a new weapon. With the judgment of the judges, they could naturally see some details of the Five Dragons Imperial Spear. This item might have been a 7th-grade Emperor weapon, but it had experienced too many twists and turns. If they wanted to return to its peak, even a 7th-grade blacksmith would find it difficult to reverse the situation. Yes, contestant Lin Shan, your proposal has been passed, but you must remember that you cannot go back on your words. The final grade of this war spear that you repair will determine the outcome of this competition. In the end, several judges passed Lin Shan's proposal. A certain Lin smiled confidently. Naturally, I won't go back on my word. I can't ask for more. Lin Shan opened it with one hand. A large number of rare treasures and high-grade ores appeared like dazzling corals, beautiful and magnificent. Lin Shan grabbed a 7th-grade, 5-colored glazed crystal. He only had 3 of them, and they were obtained from the inheritance of the Devil Emperor. They contained an unprecedented amount of 5 elements energy and were very suitable for forging or repairing high-grade artifacts of many attributes. The fully focused Lin Shan's hands were covered with indestructible gung metal battle chi. The fire tribulation and the metal tribulation battle body transformed. His hands cut down the 5-colored glazed crystal like lightning, and the golden sun forging technique once again shone with glory. Lin Shan's first move completely suppressed all the forging geniuses. However, this time was different from last time. This time, he was repairing the Five Dragons Imperial Spear, and the steps were extremely complicated. The most important thing was that Lin Shan had to use his full strength and best condition to repair it. It took a very long time. On the 21st day of the 3rd round of the Heavenly Spirit List Assembly, a 5-colored dragon light shone in the forging venue. It roared into the heavens and shook the entire Yen city. This was a phenomenon suspected to be the birth of an emperor weapon. Chapter 434. Inside the venue, Lin Shan was sweating profusely as he excitedly observed the golden war spear floating in the air. It was surrounded by 5 rays of dazzling dragon energy. The dragon might was unparalleled, looking down on the world. Other than the legendary rank 7 weapon, I'm afraid no weapon can gain the upper hand against my 5 Dragons Imperial Spear. Quasi-rank 7. This was the best that Lin Shan could forge. He couldn't forge a rank 7 weapon for now. The current 5 Dragons Imperial Spear had surpassed all the top rank 6 weapons and entered the ranks of quasi-rank 7 weapons. Quasi-rank 7. We actually witnessed the creation of a quasi-rank 7 weapon. Am I dreaming? This is crazy. I thought he could only forge a top rank 6 weapon at most. Quasi-rank 7. It's too difficult. It's not even on the same level. It has been 1,000 years since a new quasi-rank 7 weapon appeared in the Tianzhou and spiritual state. This kid is really amazing. The spiritual state is about to rise. The audience and the blacksmiths went crazy. Even Meng Xiangqing's grandfather, who had nearly 10,000 years of experience, was no exception. A quasi-rank 7 weapon that even he couldn't forge was made by a young man today. Lin Shan walked forward. When he held the war spear in his hand, a cheerful spiritual fluctuation came from the spear, making Lin Shan's heart feel warm. Looking at the sharpness and domineering aura gathered at the tip of the spear, even Lin Shan felt a lingering fear. With this divine weapon, his strength would increase by several folds. If he had this grade when he fought with Hanma Bai, he wouldn't have been so restrained. He didn't even dare to fight Yong Yi head-on and could only fight in a roundabout way. Heavenly Book Academy's Xing Moyu sucked in a cold breath and shook his head. Quasi-rank 7. He actually repaired a quasi-rank 7 weapon. Meng Xiangqing's green eyes flickered as she softly muttered. So, this is Brother Lin Chen's strength. This is even harder than forging a quasi-rank 7 weapon, right? What monster! Gazing at the side of Lin Chen's face, Murong Qingxue was momentarily absent-minded. She couldn't help but recall that this bastard had actually disguised himself to save her. She couldn't help but gnash her teeth in anger. She didn't know if the complicated feelings in her heart were disgust or, after the referee elders verified that there was no mistake, they announced that Lin Chen's final result was a quasi-7th grade weapon. As a result, the moment they appeared, another 2 beams of pill light shot into the heavens. Dense spiritual energy surged in the vast pill cloud, and from time to time, destructive pill lightning flashed. A pill rain full of spiritual energy descended. This is the omen of the birth of a high-level pill. Sensing the commotion coming from the medicine refinery hall, everyone subconsciously looked at the demon eye stone in the hall. Lin Jiufeng put away the 5 Dragons' imperial spear and left, concealing his achievements and fame. Inside the medicine refinement hall, Li Shang's veins bulged as he stared at the pill clouds in the sky. It was obvious that although his and Lin Chen's pill clouds were almost the same, in terms of the pill lightning fluctuations that seeped out, the quality of Lin Chen's pills was superior. Umph! Wait until your clone withstands the pill lightning. Even a mid-5th level Yuan Venerate wouldn't dare to take this pill lightning head-on. If one couldn't withstand the pill lightning, it would also be considered a failure. If Lin Chen's main body was present, no one would be worried. However, it was his clone now. Lin Fan's clone smiled, looking just as coquettish as his original body. When he leaped into the air, a red sword with dragon patterns stabbed out. Chi! Bang! The pill lightning was torn apart by the sword light. The clone held the scarlet dragon sword and stood proudly in front of the pill lightning without any fear. Its strength was far beyond everyone's imagination. What kind of joke is this? How can a clone be so strong? What kind of clone battle technique is this? Even a purple grade technique isn't this ridiculous. His clone has been refining pills for almost 10 days, yet it's still so lively. Why do I feel like this is his main body? The corners of everyone's mouths twitched when they saw the clone holding the scarlet dragon sword and using the fire calamity battle body to fight the pill lightning. This was a clone that Lin Shun had expended 20 points of mid-grade rune energy to create. Unless a powerhouse at the 6th level Yuan Venerate or above made a move, it would be impossible to threaten him. The sword Chi soared into the sky and shook the 9 directions. The phantom doppelganger destroyed the pill lightning with his sword. Li Shang, who was beside him, had used all his trump cards. He took on the pill lightning with great difficulty. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper. More than a dozen referee elders swarmed in and surrounded Lin Shun and Li Shang's pills to size them up. This is a top-grade, low-grade, level 6 Yuan Palace Dragon Chi pill. Using the Dragon Chi to break through the shackles of the Battle Chi Yuan Palace, there's an 80% chance of breaking through a small realm and a 10% chance of breaking through the cultivation bottleneck. It is still effective for powerhouses at the 7th level to the 8th level Yuan Venerate. Although his face was pale, when Li Shang held the pale, golden Longan-sized pill in his hand, a trace of pride still emerged on his face. To be able to refine such a pill, his alchemy skills were still better than the many alchemy grandmasters on the surface. The Yuan Palace Dragon Chi pill is effective. Looking at Lin Chen's pill, it was covered in scarlet vein patterns that looked like fiery patterns. It contained a fiery aura that seemed to contain a volcano that could incinerate mountains and boil seas. The residual heat emitted from the pill caused the space around it to distort slightly. This is a top-grade, high-level, level 610 tribulation tempering flame pill. It uses the energy of the fire calamity to temper one's body and help a body-tempering martialist break through a large realm. If a fire elemental battle, Chi Cultivator, consumes it, they can absorb the energy of the fire calamity and break through. If a person below the 8th level Yuan venerate consumes it, there's a 50% chance of breaking through a large realm. If a person below the 9th level Yuan venerate consumes it, there's a 30% chance. When Lin Chen's doppelganger smiled casually, everyone was shocked. If a person below the 9th level Yuan venerate had a 30% chance of breaking through a large realm. Furthermore, it had an extremely strong body tempering effect. Although only fire tribute martialists could use it, the quality of such a pill could be seen at a glance. Some of the older generation Yuan venerate powerhouses who cultivated fire tribute cultivation techniques stared at the 10th tribulation flame forging pill with fervent eyes. They would probably have to go to the Sky Song Academy and beg this kid to refine pills for them in the future. A top grade, level 6 pill? He actually managed to refine a medicinal pill of this grade. Li Shang's eyelids twitched violently as disbelief filled his face. The grade of Lin Chen's pill was 2 grades higher than his. After the unanimous confirmation, a Grand Elder of the Heavenly Book Academy's Alchemy Department shook his head and sighed before announcing the results. Sigh. Talented people are born in every generation, each leading the way for hundreds of years. This old man announces that the grade of these 2 young people's pills is established. If nothing goes wrong, the champion should be Lin Chen from the spiritual state. Even this old man can't do better than him in alchemy. He is really amazing. In time, he will definitely become a level 7 alchemist. Who knows, we might even have a chance to witness the birth of a new generation of level 8 alchemists. The moment these words came out, they were deeply imprinted into everyone's hearts. After today, his name would shake the alchemy world of the 2 continents and even the 9 states and shine for eternity. Spiritual state, Lin Chen. He was only 20 years old and had already made Elder How of the Heavenly Book Academy feel inferior. He had unlimited possibilities. Chapter 435. At the venue, all the audience members put down the demon eye stones in their hands with dark expressions. Yes, the audience members had been waiting for more than 20 days. Because only Yin, Qinyun, and Lin Chen had advanced to the finals, and the rules of the finals were completely different from the previous ones. Without Lin Chen, the finals couldn't be held. Finally, after many strange phenomena appeared in Yindu, Mr. Lin finally arrived at the venue. To the audience's disappointment, although Lin Chen was here, he was in a sorry state and wasn't in any condition to participate in the finals of the 2 continents' best fortune tellers. Lin Chen had to run all over the city and pass through many restrictions to make top-tier level 6 elixirs and forge a quasi-level 7 weapon. Sorry for making everyone wait for a while. Mr. Lin scratched his head and smiled embarrassedly. It would have been better if he didn't say anything, but the moment he said it, the audience members all stared at him. Ahem, please allow me to rest for a while, then I can fight again. Mr. Lin's face turned red, which was a rare sight. He couldn't wipe his face away from the millions of audience members, so he immediately sat cross-legged in the air to rest. While circulating his cultivation method, Lin Chen took a low-level level 6 elixir, soul calming and essence stabilizing elixir, replenishing his lost spirit and battle chi. When he circulated the Taishur, sacred scripture, and 9 calamities of creation, it caused quite a shock. Especially the 9 sacred marks between Lin Chen's eyebrows, which completely shocked the masters of the Tianzhou and spiritual state. 9 sacred marks? Didn't that mean this kid had absorbed 9 sacred fire seeds? The highest talent in the history of the spiritual state and Tianzhou was 7 sacred fire seeds, right? Also, he had absorbed them over a period of thousands of years, and this kid was at most 20 years old. In less than a day, Lin Chen's condition had reached more than 90%, and he was close to his peak state. When he suddenly opened his eyes, hurricanes, lightning, and dark flames appeared in the venue as if a demon king had awoken. Come, I'm ready. How are we going to compete in the finals? Lin Chen looked at the beautiful woman not far away and smiled faintly. This time, I'll do my best, Prince Lin Chen. Be careful. Yin Xinyun smiled sweetly, and her beautiful eyes flickered with surprise and admiration. Up until now, she still felt disbelief. Exactly what kind of natural talent was capable of being such a formidable genius in the three great fields of alchemy: equipment forging and divination? Cough, cough, cough. The rules of the fortune teller competition. Both parties, please calculate each other's fates. The closer they are to each other, the winner will be the one who wins. The rules of the competition this time had even left a certain Lin stunned. This rule was completely different from the previous two rounds. In the first two rounds, they only needed to calculate the target. But this time, the two fortune tellers had to calculate each other's fates. It was equivalent to a real battle between fortune tellers. As a powerful fortune teller, other than being good at seeing through the fates of others, he also had to analyze his own fates to the point where he knew them like the back of his hand. One had to deduce and calculate all of one's fortune, destiny, calamity, and misfortune. Furthermore, one had to hide one's own fate to prevent other powerful fortune tellers from detecting and deducing it. Whether one's own fates were completely calculated by the enemy, or if one analyzed the enemy's fates, this battle would test the comprehensive ability of all the fortune tellers. Since we parted ways at the holy fire level, my observation scripture and 1,000 divinations of immortal countenance have been trained to the level of great achievement. This time, I don't believe that I won't be able to calculate one of your fates. Moreover, I've hidden my fates very well. With Prince Lin Chen's new standard, it's still not enough for him to calculate my fates. Yin Xinyun's cherry-red lips curved into a confident and elegant smile. She was secretly looking forward to the future. She had not calculated Lin Chen's fates. What kind of future would this young man, whom she had decided to bet everything on? Ha ha! It seems like I'll still be the third champion. Sigh, it's so annoying to be handsome. After listening to the rules, Lin Chun laughed hysterically. The audience, and even the judges, could not understand what was going on. Yin Xinyun of this generation of the Yin clan had completely surpassed the standards of her peers. She was many times stronger than the previous prodigy diviners. Even in the entire 9 prefectures, it would be hard to find someone like her. Why was Lin Chen so confident that he could win against her? What the others did not know was that this rule was against him. Destiny? Misfortune? These things did not exist in Lin Chen's body. Even the most outstanding fortune teller in the history of Jiuzhou and the ancestors of fortune tellers from outside of Jiuzhou would not be able to calculate Lin Chen's fates. He was a genuine earthling, and he didn't belong to 9 regions at all. No matter who it was impossible to deduce his fate. His fate was only in his own hands. Oomph. You're just a newbie who became a fortune teller less than 2 months ago. Where did you get the confidence to say that you can defeat me? Yin Xinyun was not happy. She pouted and snorted like a young girl who did not admit defeat. She was charming and charming. Since you also said that I'm a newbie, let me make the first move. Lin Chen smiled evilly. Yin Xinyun smiled confidently. I'll let you make the first move, so make the first move. I don't believe that you have any tricks. Seeing that the other party agreed, Lin Chen took out his big treasure without hesitation. It was his fortune teller's life tool, the divine calculation disc, that looked like a keyboard. Taking a deep breath, Lin Chen's fingertips danced and tapped the keys on the divine calculation disc like lightning. Every time he tapped, Lin Chen's spiritual power would be injected into the disc. As he ran the mental cultivation method, the 6 types of tribulation bodies began to merge. Buzz! The incomplete eye of 9 tribulations flickered with 6 colors and circulated above Lin Chen's head. He began to spy on Yin Xinyun's fate through the divine calculation disc from the perspective of the eye of 9 tribulations. Yin Xinyun's star map was extremely dazzling, like a starry sky. However, in the dazzling starry sky, Lin Chen did not see any useful information or images related to her. Little girl, you've hidden it well. I, Lin Chen, am not afraid of things that are not important. In front of me, the little black dragon in the waves, it's nothing. Lin Shen tapped the divine calculation disc energetically and continued to explore the light in the star map. The colorful star map seemed to be boundless, and it was easy to get lost in it. People could only go around in circles and could not find anything substantial. Yin Xinyun maintained her elegant smile and stood in front of Lin Shun, allowing him to calculate. But the next moment, her beautiful cheeks were dyed with a faint blush, and she rolled her eyes at Lin Shun. "Oh, it's not important here, it's important there. Why is it so important everywhere? Why are you hiding it so well? I'm just looking, not going in. Isn't it good to be honest? Look at me, I'm very honest. You can look at it however you want, I don't hide it at all. We're all open our minds and speak frankly. Miss Yin Xinyan, why are you blushing?" Chapter 436. Lin Chuan's mouth was full of lewd words. The girls and beautiful women outside the venue were blushing. Some were bashful, and some were throwing flirtatious glances at him. Not to mention Yin Qinyun. No one could stand his harassing words. "If you talk nonsense again, I won't teach you the skills of a fortune teller next time." When Yin Qinyun scolded Lin Shun, her heart was shaken. Lin Shen clearly saw that in her vast and boundless star map, there was a galaxy that looked similar to the others that suddenly trembled twice. Although the frequency was very low, Lin Chen immediately noticed it. His 9 tribulations eyes glowed. Lin Chen immediately focused all his attention on that area. In that star map, there was a faint blood light, like a heavenly river. This was Yin Xinyun's bloodlight disaster. When Lin Chuan looked at this bloodlight disaster, he suddenly realized that this bloodlight disaster was accompanied by a faint blue light, which proved that danger and fortune coexisted. However, the next scene that emerged from the bloodlight disaster made Lin Chuan's mouth wide open. He was completely stunned. 2 figures were faintly discernible, and the scene was very heated. Flawless skin, like a perfect work of art, and beautiful cheeks, like rosy clouds, was Yin Xinyun. Looking at the handsome face that was hugging her, it was actually Lin Chuan. "What the F*** CK? Lin Shun instantly jumped up, almost blinding his 9 tribulations eyes. "Brother Chun, did I just watch my own movie? What the F*** CK? What kind of experience is this? It seems to be quite exciting." Lin Shen's sudden jump shocked many people. Then he stared blankly at the large-scale action movie in the star map, touched his chin, and carefully watched it. The whole process lasted for 4 to 5 hours. In the end, when Lin Shen finished watching, almost a day had passed. As expected of the future me. Sure enough, I've become stronger again. This time, I've learned a lot of postures. Oh no, I mean knowledge. Sure enough, learning makes me happy. Learning gives me a sense of reality in this boring life. I love to have sex. Oh no, I mean I love learning. Learning loves me. Exiting the eyes of 9 tribulation state, Mr. Lin looked up at the sky with melancholy in his eyes. While he was at it, he took out a few tissues to wipe away the large amount of blood flowing out of his nose. "Prince Lin Shun, don't force yourself. If you really can't figure out, then forget it." Yin Xinyun thought that he had used the secret technique too much, which resulted in a backlash or side effect. She hurriedly went forward and asked with concern. When Lin Shan saw Yin Qinyun through her clothes, he instantly remembered the learning materials that he had just studied. Blood gushed out of his nose again. Lin Shen's nose started to bleed violently again. Damn, this Yin Xinyun's figure was too explosive. Lin Fan couldn't get used to it. His mind was filled with impressions from the learning materials. This scene scared a lot of people. This Prince Lin Shun was really going all out for the first place. He had spurted out so much blood from his nose. He must have tried his best to deduce Yin Xinyun's fate. Thinking of this, everyone wasn't so angry at him for standing them up. Instead, their eyes were filled with admiration. "How is it, contestant Lin Shun? Do you still want to continue?" According to the rules, both parties must have the same amount of time to deduce. There are less than 7 days left before the competition officially ends. Theoretically, you have less than 3 days to deduce. At this time, the referee elder outside the venue announced indifferently, Obviously, he didn't think that Lin Shan could deduce Yin Xinyun's fate. Cough cough, no need. These learning materials are a bit heavy. If I continue reading, I'll have to drink 9 branches whole. I've already deduced the result. At this time, Mr. Lin smiled indifferently, which shocked the referee elders. Oh, tell me, what did you deduce? The Yin family's guest elder frowned and asked indifferently. Yin Xinyun's beautiful eyes were also filled with curiosity as she stared at Lin Shun. Could it be that he had really divined her fate? With Yin Xinyun's current realm, there were no more than 3 people in the Yin family who could deduce part of her fate, and only part of it. It was impossible for him to deduce all of it. Cough, cough, then I'll say it. I hope everyone can remain calm. Mr. Lin coughed lightly and stared at Yin Xinyun. His expression was incomparably serious as he said, Miss Yin Xinyun, you have a bloody calamity. That is, in the future, you will be hopeless. Love me. When this was said, everyone in the audience was stunned. The referees were also stunned. Yin Xinyun was even more surprised and stood rooted to the ground. It was undeniable that Yin Xinyun's feelings towards Lin Shun were indeed different from other men of the same age. At least, when facing men of the same age, other than Lin Shun, she would not look at a second person of the opposite sex. But in terms of love, it was definitely not considered love. At most, she had a good impression of Lin Shun and was curious about his secrets. This kind of feeling was not even considered love. Prince Lin Shun, are you joking? Yin Xinyun took 10 steps back and looked as if she had seen an idiot. Although Lin Shun was shameless, he did not look like someone who would say such words in public. It's up to you to believe it or not. Anyway, I've already told you the result of my deduction. Now, it's your turn. Lin Shun shrugged and sat down cross-legged. He circulated the 9 tribulations of creation properly and recovered the energy he had expended when using the 9 tribulations eye. This is ridiculous. Could it be that he has nothing to lose? But this is not his style of doing things. Yin Xinyun's mind was full of questions. After thinking for a while, she took out her first fortune teller's life artifact, the wordless heavenly book. As she flipped through the book, Yin Xinyun's aura became cold and mysterious. A deep and blurry light shrouded Lin Chen's head and shot out a light that was like a starry cloud. The light rotated around Lin Chen's body and formed 9 light circles. Yin Xinyun did not hold back. She used her true strength right from the start. She tried to deduce Lin Chen's destiny the last time, but there was no trace of it at all. So, even if her cultivation level had increased this time, she had to give it her all. From her point of view, she believed that there should be a powerful diviner who helped Lin Shun to conceal his fate and fate. Unless it is a fortune teller outside of the 9 prefectures, no fortune teller can completely seal my wordless heavenly book. Lock. Layers of light shot out from the 9 light circles and penetrated Lin Chen's body. Yin Xinyun stared at the blurry starry sky, but there was no sign of Lin Chen's star map. A day and a night had passed, and Yin Xinyun still could not find any trace of Lin Chen's destiny. How? How is this possible? Yin Xinyun was shocked and could not believe it. It was exactly the same as the last time when they were in the holy fire level. Lin Chen's star map of destiny did not seem to exist. That indulgence over and over again, that unimaginable posture was presented in front of her eyes in a vivid manner. In the future, I will fall in love with Lin Shun. Yes, I will fall in love with him. Lin Shun looked at it for almost a day and a night. Yin Xinyun didn't even last an hour before she quickly left his star chart. Her beautiful cheeks were flushed with a beauty that could turn all living things upside down. All the young geniuses were stunned. You, stinking bug, liar, stinking egg, hooligan, you actually bullied me, boo. Yin Xinyun's beautiful cheeks were flushed with tears. At this moment, she was like an ordinary girl who had suffered a great grievance. Wiping her tears, she ran out of the hall with grievance. Everyone in the audience opened their mouths wide. What was going on? What has happened? That Miss Yin Qinyun, who had always divined the secrets of the heavens, was actually made to cry by Lin Shun, but he didn't seem to have done anything. Looking at the millions of dumbfounded faces in the audience, Lin Shun brushed his bangs and pretended to be depressed as he looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle. As a most handsome man, how could you people understand my boring troubles? Sigh, being handsome is really annoying. After sighing, Lin Luoran lit a self-made cigarette and blew out a smoke ring. He didn't forget to take out an antique mirror and smiled at himself in the mirror. You are indeed the most handsome man in the Jiuzhou continent. You live up to your name. Your specialty is really your specialty. Seeing this scene, some of the audience couldn't help but twitch their mouths. Some of the young geniuses were even gnashing their teeth in anger. Damn it, this guy is so cheap. I really want to hit him, but I can't beat him. So annoying. In the end, due to Yin Xinyun's actions and performance, not only did she verify Lin Chen's prophecy, but she also had the intention of abstaining. Most of the judges voted that Lin Shun was the #1 fortune teller in this Heavenly Spirit List assembly, the first person in the history of the Heavenly Spirit List to win 3 consecutive championships. It was born at this moment. However, Lin Chen couldn't care too much about it. He rushed to the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower without stopping because there were only 6 days left for him. This time, hundreds of millions of people were watching. Everyone's eyes were focused on the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower. Countless experts in the city of Yin surged towards the direction of the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower. The number of people was unprecedented, because this might be the moment to witness history once again. Lin Shun was one of the 2 people in the Heavenly Spirit List who had advanced to the finals. The other person was Qianzhou's Xie Hanfeng. If Lin Shun could surpass Xie Hanfeng, it would be 4 consecutive championships. 4 consecutive champions of the Heavenly Spirit List that would give birth to a peerless monster that was unparalleled since ancient times. Outside the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower, before Lin Chen arrived, a screen appeared in the tower. Participant, Xie Hanfeng, passed the 7th level of the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower. Xie Hanfeng, who was battered and exhausted, looked up to the sky and roared, "Ha ha! Lin Shun, let's see how you can surpass me this time. I, Xie Hanfeng, am a #1 genius of 2 continents." The audience outside the arena was amazed. They hadn't expected Xie Hanfeng from Tianzhou to pass the 7th level of the battle tower. He had become the 3rd person in history to pass the 7th level. With his 3rd level Yuan Venerate cultivation, he had shaken and defeated the early stage 6th level puppet that had appeared on the 7th level. Without a doubt, without Lin Shun, this generation of geniuses would have been overshadowed by Xie Hanfeng. However, Lin Shun was now shining brightly and had more than enough glory. Those who had seen Lin Chen's peerless demeanor weren't too surprised by this result. Lin Chen has entered the arena. It was unknown which side of the audience exclaimed first, but all the audience in the venue turned their attention to the entrance of the battle tower. The person in the lead, his silver robes fluttering in the wind, had an indifferent expression on his face. There was a faint, charming, and confident smile on his face as he walked straight into the entrance of the battle tower. That's Lin Shun. How calm and collected. Even in the face of hundreds of millions of people, he is still unperturbed and his sharpness is restrained. I wonder if he can pass the 7th level. Even Xie Hanfeng struggled on the 7th level 5 times and took more than 20 days to pass. Yeah, I heard that Xie Hanfeng used a total of 3 kinds of low-grade, purple-grade cultivation techniques to pass the 7th level. The Heavenly Book Academy is really generous. 3 kinds of purple-grade cultivation techniques. I have been a Yuan Venerate for thousands of years, but I don't even have a top-grade blue-grade cultivation technique, let alone a half-purple grade or purple-grade cultivation technique. I reckon the Heavenly Book Academy is betting everything on Xie Hanfeng. Purple-grade cultivation techniques aren't cabbages, and the Heavenly Book Academy can't produce many of them. Lin Shun has entered the 7th level. Oh my god, Lin Chen's opponents on the 7th level are actually two demonic puppets. Chapter 438. When he entered the 7th level, Lin Chen was prepared and released the 10,000-year profound green dragon. He had encountered two late-stage 5th-level beings on the 6th level. The 7th level would be at least a 6th-level being. Lin Chen had to use his true strength to be confident of winning against a 6th-level Yuan Venerate powerhouse. Lightning Calamity Transformation, Flame Calamity Transformation, Wind Calamity Transformation. After using the first 3 transformations of the Azura 9 Brilliance Transformation, Lin Chen's Battle Chi Natal Palace transformed into 2 illusory natal palaces. He had temporarily advanced from the late-stage 1st level to the early-stage 3rd level. Boom! 2 figures appeared in the battle space of the 7th level. It was a man and a woman. Both of them had 2 horns on their heads. Their hair was gray and their eyes were purple. They were slightly taller than ordinary people and didn't look much different from humans. However, the aura they exuded was completely different from humans. This is the legendary demon-human race. Lin Chen was slightly surprised. It was said that there were many other races besides the beast race that were born outside of the 9 states. One of them was the demon-human race. They were the descendants of the demon race and the human race. They had the talents of the human race and the innate advantage of the demon race's bloodline. Before Lin Chen could think too much, the 2 mid-stage, 6th-level demon-human race puppets raised their hands and clenched their fists. 10 finger marks clenched furiously and crushed the spatial crystal wall. They brazenly grabbed Lin Chen and his green dragon. Lin Chen's purple phoenix wings flapped, and 1,000 lightning shadows swept across the void. The finger marks tore apart Lin Chen's afterimages. Boom! Rumble! The dragon chi swept across the void and turned into a green domain. The green dragon released the profound green dragon domain and suppressed the finger marks' attacks by 1/3. Then, the dragon swayed its tail and used the startling dragon roam technique. Its dragon body escaped into the void and moved away. What terrifying strength! So this is the mid-stage, 6th level Yuan Venerate. Indeed, each level is more terrifying than the last. The 5-colored dragon light wrapped around his arm. Lin Chen clenched his fist, and the 5 dragons' imperial spear appeared in his hand. Lin Chen's Thunder Calamity Battle Chi flashed by like lightning. He activated his Gold Calamity Battle Physique and rushed towards the first demon dweller. He raised his battle spear high and smashed it down furiously. The latter drew a short saber at lightning speed and activated a blood-red circular barrier. Heavenly Gung, Transforming Dragon. The dragon power erupted. The tip of the spear danced out a huge golden dragon. Tearing it apart, the indestructible golden gung chi destroyed the devil cultivator's battle chi barrier bit by bit. Rip! The sharpness of the quasi-tier 7 weapon was far beyond Lin Chen's imagination. He didn't even need to activate the charging rune to tear apart the opponent's battle chi shield. The male devil cultivator turned around like a swimming dragon. His movement technique was extremely fast. He turned around and slashed Lin Chen's neck. The spear blocked horizontally, and the Earth Calamity Battle Body activated the 10,000 Mountain Xian armor. Lin Chen took a few steps back, and the Wind Calamity Battle Chi circulated around his legs. The God Shadow Wind Demon leg shot out at an extremely fast speed, and the Wind Calamity Chi transformed into a leg shadow that exploded and sent the male demonic cultivator flying. Both sides were sent flying, but the male demonic cultivator seemed to not know how much energy he had expended and slashed out a second time with lightning speed. The sharp aura condensed into a blood-colored blade, and a blood-colored waterfall with surging baleful aura shot out from the short saber. The blood-colored waterfall cut through the wind and waves, tearing apart the crystal walls of space. Lin Chen did not dodge at all, and the moment his body stabilized, he stepped out with 1,000 thunder shadows, his battle spear thrusting out angrily. Bang! The indestructible golden gung chi pierced through the opponent's blood-colored waterfall into nothingness on the spot. The male demonic cultivator swung his saber dozens of times at extremely fast speed. Lin Chen's spear was like a violent dragon overturning the sea, furiously sweeping through the nine heavens. On the other side, the myriad light green blade rotated on the azure dragon claw, attacking the battle chi defense of the female demonic cultivator puppet time and time again. The 10,000-year profound azure dragon relied on its many divine abilities to fight back and forth with the demonic cultivator puppet. Two streaks of light fell like meteors, following closely behind. Every time they collided, they would shatter a large area of space. Countless spectators were shocked. Lin Chun was fighting 1 against 2, and he was still not at a disadvantage. This time, the strong collision once again allowed Lin Chun to see the power of a quasi-7th rank weapon. In the past, when facing opponents above the 6th level, even if he used the 9 Brilliance transformation, he would still have to use the characteristic runes to fight. But now, he did not even need to use the charging runes to fight against a mid-stage 6th level cultivator. Other than the increase in cultivation, it was all thanks to the new 5 Dragons Imperial Spear. The warm-up is almost done. Next, it's time to kill the 2 of you. After hundreds of rounds of fierce fighting, Lin Chen spun in the air, waved his spear angrily, and smashed it back, causing the demonic cultivator puppet to retreat a few steps. 100 Shadows of the Wind Demon. With the transformation of the Wind Calamity battle body, Lin Chen's attacks became even more terrifying. His legs were like afterimages, sweeping out all over the sky. It forced the demonic cultivator puppet to activate its defense to block. Then, the spear that was condensed with all his strength flew out with a loud bang, ruthlessly piercing through the demonic cultivator puppet. The short saber was curved like a moon, and a blood-red edge flashed across. The demonic cultivator puppet suddenly slashed out a full-strength saber light, and the blood-red saber light swept across the sky, swallowing the stars and absorbing the moon. At the moment when it burst out with all its strength, a figure flashed behind the demonic cultivator puppet. His left arm was like an abyss, twisting with terrifying dragon energy and dark calamity battle chi, and suddenly slammed on the top of the demonic cultivator puppet's head. Charging rune, 9-fold Dark Dragon Force. This was the first time Lin Chun used the 9-fold Dark Dragon Force. 9 dragon-like forces coiled around his palm, vivid and lifelike, like dark dragons flying in the sky. Chi! Bang! 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 The 3-7-5-0-0 dragon power points, accompanied by the spiraling Dark Calamity battle chi, were like 9 dark dragons surrounding the demonic cultivator puppet, easily crushing its defense. Finally, when it invaded its body, it was shattered into pieces on the spot, and dozens of attribute light balls burst out. After Lin Chun killed Hun Ma Bai, the Dark Calamity battle body had become his strongest Heavenly Calamity battle body. Coupled with the power of the 9-fold Dark Dragon Force and the 9-fold Dark Dragon Force, a sneak attack penetrated the demonic cultivator puppet's defense, completely destroying the demonic cultivator puppet. Lin Chun grabbed with one hand and collected the attribute light balls that dropped. Host has received 16 cultivation technique soul essences, 11 10 battle chi essences, 800 battle chi essences, 1200 blood energy, 25 rune energy, 170 heavens path points, 230 talent points. Host has opened the blue crystal treasure chest. Received 2 attribute rune evolution stones. Host has opened the blue crystal treasure chest. Received 1 top-level blue rank cultivation technique scroll. After collecting these attribute light balls, Lin Chen's attributes increased by another wave. Most importantly, his bottleneck of the late-stage first tier was showing signs of loosening. Outside the battle tower, when the spectators saw Lin Chen suddenly unleash his might and instantly kill the demon puppet, they couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Well, what? One move? What a perverted combat skill. What kind of power is that? This lethality is probably not lower than a half purple rank, right? He easily penetrated the defense of a mid-stage 6th-tier demonic cultivator puppet with one palm. It's a close combat skill. No, although his combat skill is mysterious, the most important thing is still his own strength. His pure strength is outstanding, and his control is perfect. Moreover, he seems to have the legendary Heavenly Calamity battle body everyone was discussing. In the battle tower, Lin Shun waved his hand, and the 5 dragons' Imperial Spear flew into his hand. In a flash, he and Azure Dragon surrounded the female demonic cultivator puppet from the left and right. In less than 15 minutes, they broke through the female demonic cultivator puppet. He collected all the attribute light balls. Before the experts could recover from their shock, Lin Shun held the golden spear in his hand. His eyes were cold and domineering. He looked down at the world with disdain. 1 man and 1 dragon, they went straight to the 8th floor. Chapter 439. He actually used less than an hour to pass the 7th level. Oh my god, this is a 2-man team competition. Lin Shun and his green dragon are too terrifying. Throughout the history of the 2 continents, there has never been such a terrifying first-level Yuan venerate. Even the higher-ups of the referee, the Yin family, the Leaf family, the Heavenly Book Academy, and the powerhouses of the Sky Song Academy were staring at the demonic ice stone with trembling hearts. The 8th level was a completely unknown territory. Since ancient times, no one had ever entered it, let alone know what the 8th level looked like. In the space of the 8th level of the Battle Pagoda, white snow came into view. This was a vast and boundless world of ice and snow. 2 mountain peaks towered into the clouds and stood in the center of this world of ice and snow. Lin Shen's pupils trembled as he activated his purple-gold eyes. Standing in the center of this world of ice and snow were 2 early-stage 7th-level Yuan venerates on top of 2 ice mountains. The early-stage 7th level and the mid-stage 6th level were 2 completely different realms. In terms of difficulty, the 8th level was more than 5 times harder than the 7th level. Green Dragon Possession. In an instant, the Green Dragon merged into Lin Shen's body, and 51,000 dragon power entered Lin Shen's body. The Green Dragon might not even be able to last 20 rounds in a head-on battle at the early-stage 7th level. This was because it was only at the mid-stage of the 6th level and couldn't fight opponents 3 major realms above it. Even if it evolved to the 10,000-year profound Green Dragon, it wouldn't be able to cross such a large dimension. I can't remember how many years it has been since I last saw a living being outside the pagoda. I didn't expect to see a descendant of the spiritual state before my remnant consciousness disappears. The middle-aged man wore a white jade crown, was dressed in green, and carried a sword. He floated in the air with a carefree aura and laughed heartily when he saw Lin Shun. The other man wore a yellow robe and had a cold expression. He held a blade, and his eyes glowed with a sharp aura that could cut through the void. Although the 2 of them were still puppets, they had their own thoughts. It was as if they were different from the puppets they had been before. Dark Calamity Change. Lin Shun didn't say anything and activated the 4th level of the 9 brilliance change that he had just obtained. Boom! The dark energy of the abyss that was as deep as the sea surged and condensed, almost forming a 4th illusory natal palace for Lin Shun. Peak of level 3. Lin Shun, who had activated all 4 transformations, could advance from the late stage of the 1st stage to the peak of the 3rd stage. However, the 4th level of the Yuan Venerate realm was an important watershed, and he had yet to completely break through. Oh! A secret manual with the charm of an Azura. It should be an item from the ancient times. This kid's foundation is not bad. No wonder he can make it here. Slightly surprised, the green-robed man unsheathed his sword. Clang! The sword roared like a dragon's roar. This was an incomplete 6th-grade sword, and in the hands of the azure-clothed man, it still contained the last bit of sword intent. "Senior, please enlighten me." Lin Chun slightly cupped his hands, and then his hand seals suddenly changed like lightning. 2,000 feet tall Asuras with 3 heads and 6 arms soared into the sky above his head, making hand gestures to chant. The combination of the Taishur Bible and the Asura's wrath had become a spiritual attack that was no weaker than a half-purple level battle skill. Charge rune wrath. Roar. Roar. Boom. Boom. The surging spiritual sound waves were like the sun and the moon in the sky. The spiritual attack surged forward violently, destroying mountains and splitting the earth. Everywhere it passed, mountains exploded into powder, the earth collapsed, and the space crystal walls shattered. It was like the end of the world. "Junior, you came at the right time." Sword illumination. 9 spirits, 1 return to origin. The sword flowed with 9 water-type spiritual lights, and the azure-clothed swordsman swung out a green rainbow that crossed the sun and flew out horizontally. The yellow-robed swordsman's eyes surged with a vast sword aura that could swallow mountains, rivers, sun, and moon. He had the power to dominate the sky with a single slash. Who would have thought that when he had just pulled out his saber, an afterimage had mysteriously appeared behind him like a ghost? Ninefold Dark Dragon Force. Dark Dragon Force, formed by 51,000 Dark Dragon Force, swirled around his 5 fingers. Along with the dense Dark-type battle aura, it fiercely strangled and slammed toward his back. The yellow-robed swordsman immediately slashed back. Unexpectedly, halfway through the slash, Lin Chun, who was using astral teleportation, flapped his purple phoenix wings, and the Gold Calamity and Thunder Calamity battle aura smashed down furiously. Bang! Everything happened in the blink of an eye. An earth-shattering explosion resounded through the clouds, shattering thousands of layers of snow in all directions and ice cloud mountain. Clang! 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 Extremely fast sword light and spear shadows danced and collided. Lin Chun attacked the yellow-robed swordsman at lightning speed. Although the yellow-robed swordsman didn't bleed, there was a big hole in his dantian. It was obvious that he was injured by Lin Chun's ninefold Dark Dragon Force. The saber slashed at the yellow-robed swordsman's shoulder. The yellow-robed swordsman swung his saber and blocked the dark green saber. At the same time, the golden war spear tore through the void and smashed down, forcing the yellow-robed swordsman to retreat continuously. Every time the newly forged 10,000 Abyss Cry sword slashed out, it was accompanied by a faint, sharp sword aura. It was like the howling of 10,000 winds, cold and murderous. It perfectly combined the characteristics of the Wind Calamity battle constitution and the Netherworld's 7 flashes. Oh, I didn't expect you to have a doppelganger technique. However, you have 2 opponents. Just as the green-robed swordsman was surprised and was about to help, a blazing sword intent pierced through the space crystal wall and flashed toward him with faint afterimages of fire flowing around it. The green-robed swordsman's eyes narrowed. He blocked with his sword and stepped back. Then he stabbed 10 times in a row and blocked all the afterimages of the sword light. When the green-robed swordsman saw clearly who it was, he couldn't help but be shocked. It was another Lin Chun. Lin Chun's doppelganger didn't give him time to think. The Crimson Dragon, sword in his hand, glowed with sword light like dragon flames. The sword slashed continuously. The dragon power supported the Fire Calamity battle constitution, and the charging runes were activated continuously. The 2 swords collided and collided repeatedly. The Crimson Dragon's sword turned from a slash to a flick, aiming at the green-robed swordsman's neck. The opponent's sword shook, and at the same time, the Crimson Dragon's sword slashed out horizontally. However, the slash produced faint afterimages of lightning tribulation. The green-robed swordsman's eyes narrowed again. It was the astral stepping teleportation. The sharp and blazing fire glass sword slash suddenly slashed down vertically from the sky and a sword light that was as agile and graceful as water rushed out from the back. The two sword lights instantly collided and surged together. Fire and water duel heaven. At this moment, even the powerhouses watching the battle outside the venue were stunned. Lin Shun could still use a second doppelganger, and its power was not reduced at all. From the fluctuations of the battle chi, it seemed to be as strong as his original body. This kind of magical doppelganger combat skill was unheard of. Doppelganger combat skills often produced doppelgangers that were weaker than the original body. Perhaps it couldn't be seen from the appearance of the doppelganger, but as long as they fought, it would be immediately clear. But Lin Chen's doppelganger was completely different. Not only was it impossible to distinguish the real from the fake, but its combat power was also as strong as the original body. It forcibly stalled the green-robed swordsman in the early 7th stage. Lin Chen's doppelganger could only stall for time. It didn't have the strength to fight the green-robed swordsman alone. Chapter 440. On the other side, the battle between the yellow-robed swordsman and Lin Chen's main body shone with a domineering aura that shook the skies. The entire battle space was trembling and shaking violently. Upon seeing this scene, all the powerhouses at the 6th level Yuan Venerate realm and above stood up in shock. Some of them gasped as they stared at the demonic ice stone, as if they were witnessing something terrible about to happen. One of the higher-ups of the Heavenly Song Academy stared at the demonic ice stone, swallowed his saliva, and muttered to himself with chattering teeth. Lin Chen actually wants to fight him head-on using a purple tier battle skill. Xia Hanfeng, who was in a sorry state, stared blankly at Lin Chen's opponent in the battle tower. He had used all his trump cards against an early-stage 6th level Yuan Venerate realm opponent and had only defeated him after repeated attempts. However, Lin Shun was actually able to fight evenly against an early-stage 7th level Yuan Venerate realm opponent. Furthermore, it was a 1-on-2 fight. The most frightening thing was that his opponent also possessed a purple tier battle skill. There was no comparison between the two opponents. Xia Hanfeng's insufferably arrogant attitude was completely shattered at this moment. It was not worth mentioning at all. On the 8th floor of the battle tower, Lin Chen's level 4 corrosive rune was constantly activated in the midst of the intense battle. Again and again, it struck the yellow-robed swordsman's body. In addition, Lin Chen's doppelganger, which had condensed 20 points of rune energy, combined with the frenzied attacks of his doppelganger, the yellow-robed swordsman, who had been ambushed by the 9-fold dark dragon energy, found it difficult to withstand Lin Chen's frenzied attacks. Realizing that the situation was not good, the yellow-robed swordsman immediately took out his trump card, a purple tier saber battle skill. However, what moved him even more was that Lin Shun had actually chosen to fight head-on. He had no intention of retreating at all. The three of them each occupied one side. The yellow-robed swordsman was filled with sharp sword chi that sent yellow sand flying into the sky, forming a sandstorm that was tens of thousands of feet tall. His aura shook the 9 heavens, and at the center of the storm was an endless sword chi that could swallow the stars and absorb the moon. The blade of the myriad wind cries, which was surrounded by a faint green light, was ready to unleash the sharpness of the moon and stars at any moment. Lin Chen grasped the golden spear in his hand, and demonic intent surged from his body. 5-color dragon chi vibrated chaotically, and waves of azura, demonic intent, condensed above his head. Vaguely, some masters could see an azura demonic shadow with 3 heads and 6 arms. It was clad in a suit of armor, and it held the spear as if it wanted to split open the heavens. Ha ha! This was a great battle. Today I will see if my soul light of 1,000 desert slash is more powerful, or if the purple level spear technique of this junior from the spiritual state is more powerful. The yellow-robed swordsman's face, which had always been cold and indifferent, suddenly burst into heroic laughter. Lin Chen grinned and said in a clear voice, "Junior Lin Chen of the spiritual state, please teach me this move, Demon Spear Rend. In the next moment, the auras of both sides reached their peak. It shook the 9 heavens. Just the aura alone was enough to make the spectating masters feel a terrifying sense of oppression. The clash of the 2 purple-level techniques was completely different from Xie Hanfeng, who had barely used 3 purple-level techniques. It was a kind of realm that had been cultivated to the acme of perfection. Before the moves were executed, the aura was already there, looking down on the world. Soul light of 1,000 deserts slash. The sandstorm spun chaotically, and streaks of yellow sand blade energy that stirred up the galaxy for thousands of miles whizzed toward Lin Shun and his doppelganger. Wherever the yellow sand blade energy passed, the crystal walls in the space cracked inch by inch. The blade energy's lingering charm rolled up 1,000 layers of snow, and the aura shattered 10,000 layers of ice. Demon Spear Rend. The 5 Skunda dragon light pierced out, and the azure demonic shadow above Lin Chen's head merged with his body. The moment he held the spear and pierced it, the dragon energy erupted, and the charging rune was activated. The rune's energy was reduced by 5 points, and a cone-shaped rainbow light flashed across the golden spear tip like a bolt of lightning. Netherworld 7 flashes. A dark green saber light flashed 7 times in a row. The explosive force of the dragon power was mixed in with the saber light, and after breaking a large amount of saber energy, it was annihilated into ashes by the opponent's saber energy storm. The cone-shaped rainbow light was like a shooting star, and it pierced through countless blade energy. It was unstoppable, and it fell directly toward the figure in the sandstorm, piercing through both the person and the blade. A large number of attribute light balls rolled out from the body and floated into the void, and there were also several translucent high-grade treasure chests. Chi! Bang! Boom! A shocking explosion sounded, and Lin Shun and his doppelganger were completely overturned by the aftershock of the explosion, flying thousands of miles away. More than half of his 10,000 Weshian armor was shattered by the explosion. Fortunately, his main body wasn't injured, but he had consumed a lot of energy and was panting heavily. After continuously using high-quality Phantom Doppelganger and using the purple-level battle technique Demon Spear Rend, his 9 tribulations of creation was a little overwhelmed. Junior, well done. Unfortunately, you're up against 2 people. When the green-robed swordsman's light laughter sounded, a sword light that stretched thousands of miles away shone with a sharpness that could scare away gods and ghosts. It was surrounded by a faint water intent, and it crushed the void and pierced toward Lin Shun. Another purple-level sword technique. The green-robed swordsman attacked Lin Chen's doppelganger immediately after destroying Lin Chen's doppelganger, when he and the yellow-robed swordsman were fighting purple-level battle techniques. Unfortunately, you haven't completely seen through my trump card. At this critical moment, Lin Chen's lips curved into a confident smile. An afterimage flashed past, and he slapped the void, and 2 grayish-white talismans appeared. The moment the grayish-white talismans exploded, the 2 spaces became extremely slow, and even the sword light flashed for a moment. In this short moment, Lin Chen's figure had already been brought thousands of miles away by his phantom doppelganger. Then, the sword light shattered the space sealed by the slowing talisman, and the sword light shattered 3,000 miles. The sword light shot out, shattering the earth veins of the world of ice and snow, and tearing open a vast abyss. The other slowing talisman exploded in the space where the green-robed swordsman was. This slowing talisman was also the most powerful one, and it consumed 80 points of Lin Chen's intermediate talisman energy. What kind of move is this? Before he could recover, the Wind Calamity's leg shadow of the astral treading teleportation arrived in an instant, and a figure appeared behind him with a flash of lightning. An arm that was like a dark abyss stretched out of the void, and 51,000 dragon power points surged. Dark Battle Aura, with 9 dragon patterns wrapped around the 5 fingers, slammed into the top of his head. Bang! 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 A series of violent attacks exploded, and the green-robed swordsman's doppelganger was completely destroyed. In the end, he didn't even know what had happened. When he glanced at Lin Shun for the last time, he found that Lin Shun had as many as 3 doppelganger. He didn't expect that his mysterious doppelganger technique was still hidden. Good boy. I didn't expect you to hide so much. The green-robed swordsman's doppelganger dropped a lot of elemental light balls, and his sword dimmed and lost its luster completely. At this moment, 2 beams of light shot toward Lin Chen's glabella, catching him off guard. Just as he was about to use his spirit energy to push these 2 beams of light out of his spiritual sea, he found that they were left by the 2 seniors and meant no harm. The descendants of the spiritual state have surpassed their masters. After this battle, we'll become puppets with our last bit of spirit energy, but we've preserved our ultimate techniques. Kid, you're powerful. I hope that you can bring our absolute art to a higher realm. Chapter 441. 2 spiritual consciousnesses were transmitted to Lin Shun. Then 2 pure spiritual light cocoons floated in front of Lin Chen's spiritual seed. Then the incomplete spiritual consciousnesses vanished in a thin air, never to exist again. The system detected an incomplete purple-level technique inheritance in the host's mind. The intermediate technique essence can be used to speed up the inheritance. System 114, I want to inherit these 2 techniques. Lin Shun dispelled the 9 brilliance transformations and sat down cross-legged in the air. He consumed 30 points of intermediate cultivation technique soul essences, and a large amount of inheritance memories were rapidly fusing into Lin Chen's spiritual seed. This time, he didn't inherit directly from the system's learning function. Since the spiritual light cocoons were already in the inheritance state, it didn't require much technique essence. Plus, the speed of the inheritance was faster, so Lin Shun didn't need much time to complete it. Outside, the heavenly spirit battle tower, the crowd was in a hubbub. The unprecedented commotion and heated discussion exploded in every corner of the Yindu. For consecutive championships, it was the first time that a peerless genius had won 4 consecutive championships on the heavenly spirit list. Moreover, his combat strength had made history by entering the 2-man team competition alone. He had passed the unprecedented 8th level, which was unparalleled in history. Some of the masters of the Tianzhou state were amazed. Some were happy for the spiritual state, and some were jealous and even had murderous intent. Such a peerless genius rising in the spiritual state would definitely become a peerless master in the Jiuzhou continent in the future. No one could predict the height of his growth. Finally, the spiritual state has a glimmer of hope. The vice principal looked at the young man sitting cross-legged inside the demon eye stone with gratification. His beautiful face glowed with vitality. Huh, why hasn't he come out yet? Does he want to pass the 9th level? That's impossible, right? How is that possible? The 9th level is so insanely difficult that no one can pass it. Plus, can't you see that he's in a state of meditation? Some of the spectators were discussing, but the students of Class 66 were looking at each other with intense anticipation and excitement. Only those who had gone on adventures with Lin Shun knew that Lin Shun would never act according to conventional logic. In the crowd, there was a beautiful figure with a dazed expression as she stared at the young man who was enjoying the endless glory. You are indeed the most outstanding. Murong Qingshue's heart was filled with mixed feelings. Her slender, jade-like hand held the shattered star jade, her heart throbbing and struggling. Inside the battle tower, Lin Shun had only passed on the purple tier battle skill for less than an hour. Although it was only 1 move, it was much stronger than a half purple tier battle skill. Once again, Lin Shun consumed a level 6 low-grade Xianming pill to dispel his weakened state. Although Lin Shen's body was already very familiar with the first 3 transformations of the 9 brilliance transformations, this was his first time using the 4th transformation. His body was still in a severely weakened state. When Lin Shun absorbed the medicinal effects, his clone merged back into his body. The remaining battle chi and rune energy automatically returned to Lin Shun. After absorbing all the medicinal effects, more than 90% of Lin Chen's weakened state was dispelled. His battle chi had recovered 80% to 90%. He slowly got up, and the two battle skills that he had just inherited flashed past his mind. Extreme glowing water light, extreme sword speed, extreme single target attack, low-grade purple tier, incomplete sword technique. Thousand Desert Soul Light, super large area of effect blade technique, has the power to shatter the void. Low-grade purple tier, incomplete blade technique. Lin Shun was very satisfied with these two battle skills. With these battle skills, the strength of his two clones would improve further. Through this battle, Lin Shun discovered a very serious problem: his corrosive rune. Although Lin Chen's corrosive rune was at level 4, when he used it on the Yellow Robe Swordsman, it had very little effect. The reason was simple. After reaching the 4th level of the Yuan Venerate realm, more than 4 battle chi natal palaces would form a seamless connection. The battle chi would be as deep as the sea. It was almost unrealistic to corrode so much battle chi at the same time. Corroding a portion of the battle chi would have almost no effect on those who were at the 4th level and above, especially those who were at the beginning of the 7th level. If he forcefully used a large amount of rune energy on the corrosive rune, it would be more practical to use the slow rune. Therefore, the current corrosive rune was useless to Lin Shun, but it would be a pity to discard it. Forget it. I'll just use the other 3 runes in the future. I'll leave this corrosive rune for now. After that, Lin Shun, who had gotten up, was ecstatic as he collected the attribute light balls that the 2 seniors had left behind. His attribute value soared rapidly. Host has received 2,300 battle chi essences, 80 cultivation technique essences, 28 water-type energy, 25 earth-type energy, 580 talent points, 550 heaven path points. Host has received 3 mind power, 85 rune energy, 79 rune energy, 55 cultivation technique essences, 400 heaven path points. Host has opened 2 blue crystal treasure chests. Host has received 3 rune evolution stones and a level 1 weakening rune. Lin Chen's 2nd battle chi natal palace was formed, and the battle chi in his natal palace increased by more than 2-fold. Early 2nd level Yuan Venerate realm. Lin Shun, who had killed many puppet enemies, had finally stepped into the 2nd level Yuan Venerate realm. Apart from that, Lin Chen's water-type energy had increased to 36 points, and the 7th Calamity Battle Body had been successfully condensed. Boom! Lin Chen's mind power and mind seeds had increased to 50, and he had officially entered the mid-level of the Transcendence realm. Lin Chen's growth in strength this time could be said to be the most violent since the start of the Heavenly Spirit List Conference. A new rune. Lin Chen's eyes lit up as he opened the rune function of the system expectantly. Level 1 Weakening Rune. When the rune is attached to the host attack, there is a 5% chance of causing the enemy to enter a weakened state. Level 1 Weakening State. Weakens the target's battle chi by 3%. Level 2. 10% chance of weakening the target's battle chi by 6%. Level 3. 15% chance of weakening the target's battle chi by 9%. Level 4. 20% chance of weakening the target's battle chi by 12%. The Level 4 Weakening Rune is only suitable for the 9th level Yuan Venerate realm. The higher the cultivation, the more rune energy will be consumed, and the probability will not change. The weakened state has a probability of being broken by the enemy, so use with caution. After reading these 2 lines of annotations, Lin Shun fell from heaven to hell and cursed unconsciously. F*CK. What kind of rubbish rune is this? A level 4 weakening rune can only weaken the target's battle chi by 12%, and it can even be broken? Not only that, you even added a F*King 20% chance for me? Brother Chun, I still have to hope that this 20% chance of activating is only suitable for those below the 9th level Yuan Venerate realm? This is too much. Just by looking at the annotations of the rune, Lin Chun could tell that it was a trash rune. It was even worse than the corrosion rune. The corrosion rune didn't have a probability, and it was a low probability of 20%. Lin Chen's interest was waning. Just as he was about to shut down the system, he suddenly had an epiphany. Subconsciously, he asked the system, "System, can my fusion function fuse runes?" Answer to the host, yes. Other than fixed growth attribute values, such as mid-level battle chi essence, the system's fusion function is suitable for all of the host's unfixed growth attributes. Chapter 442. Lin Chen almost jumped up when he received the system's affirmation. Damn it, there's always a way out. If the rune can be used for fusion, then it can be fused with my corrosion rune. Without saying a word, Lin Chen opened the fusion function and moved the level 4 corrosive rune and level 1 weakening rune into the fusion furnace. System notification. This fusion will consume 3,800 Heaven's Path points. Rune fusion will completely change the rune's level and attribute. Furthermore, the rune's attribute will be completely random, and it will be the lowest level 1 rune. Would the host like to use the level 1 weakening rune and the level 4 corrosion rune? Yes. Lin Chen's voice trembled slightly when he gave the order. After all, these were runes that he had obtained from Sister Ruin, whom he liked. 3,800 Heaven's Path points consumed. Beginning fusion. 2 breaths later, the 2 runes were placed into the fusion furnace. Boom ding. Fusion complete. The host has obtained a new rune, level 1 penetration rune. Level 1 penetration rune allows the host's attacks to have a 5% penetration effect that can penetrate the enemy's battle chi defense. If upgraded to level 4, the effect will be 20%. 20% of the attack's power will have a penetration effect. The amount of rune energy required to activate is relatively high. Please use it with caution. Just the system's simple introduction made Lin Chun completely stunned. Treasure. 20% of the attack's power can penetrate the enemy's defense. Isn't this too terrifying? Lin Chun was ecstatic. After a careful study, he understood the power of the penetration rune. Any of his attacks would have a 20% penetration effect. It could penetrate the enemy's battle chi defense, but it couldn't penetrate the defensive treasures. Even so, this was still quite abnormal. If Lin Chun saved this trump card for last and fought a protracted battle with his opponent, he would exhaust his opponent's defensive treasures before activating the penetration rune in one go. 20% of the attack's power was equivalent to if Lin Chen's punch had 50,000 dragon power, then 10,000 dragon power would enter the enemy's unguarded body. Even a high-level Yuan Venerate powerhouse would have a taste of such a feeling. Furthermore, this rune didn't have a level restriction. Lin Chun could also use it against combat emperors in the future. Just nice, I still have 4 advancement stones. I'll only have 1 left after the upgrade. Lin Chun upgraded his penetration rune to level 4 in one go. His trump card rune had increased by another. In Lin Chen's heart, a ferocious will and fighting spirit emerged, as if he had nothing to lose and was not afraid of wearing shoes. Originally, he only held the attitude of giving the 9th level a try, but now it was different. He now had a total of 885 points of intermediate rune energy for trump grade characteristic runes, and his mind power had reached the mid-level of the Law Phase realm. His 7th Calamity battle body had also reached the 2nd level of the Yuan Venerate realm. These breakthroughs were enough to double Lin Chen's battle prowess. The attribute light balls dropped on the 8th floor are already so rich. If this is the 9th floor, I wonder if there will be a top-grade talent for me. A certain Lin shamelessly fantasized. Just as he was about to get up, he suddenly remembered something and activated the spirit storage ring. A fragrant pill with red veins floated in front of Lin Chun. Intense fire-based energy formed small fire dragons that shuttled through the void. That is the 10 Tribulation Tempering Flame Pill. Isn't that the pill Lin Chen refined during the alchemy competition? Is he going to consume it now? Is he crazy? How can a 4th level Yuan venerate refine a top grade 6 pill? He's not even at the 4th level of the Yuan venerate realm. Isn't he afraid of exploding from the medicinal effects? Just as some powerhouses were about to cry out in alarm, Lin Shun swallowed the pill without hesitation. Boom! 10 rings of fiery energy surrounded Lin Chen's body like a sea of hellfire, roasting Lin Chun. So hot. A top-notch tier 6 high-grade medicinal pill is indeed freakish level. His entire body and even his battle chi natal palace began to burn with raging flames. Lin Chun immediately released his Azure Dragon, sharing the violent and unparalleled energy with him. Lin Chun circulated the 9 tribulations of Genesis and frantically refined the medicinal effects. He wasn't strong enough to break through the 9th floor of the battle tower yet. There were already 2 early-stage 7th-level beings on the 8th floor. Therefore, there was a high chance that there would be 2 late-stage 7th-level beings on the 9th floor. Until now, Lin Chun had never encountered an opponent of this level. Any late-stage 7th-level Yuan Venerate was a top-notch powerhouse in the spirit state and was deeply respected by billions of civilians. Lin Chun was confident that he could take on one such opponent. However, if there were 2 of them, he would have to go all out. Fiery dragons roamed around Lin Chen's body. Even with the green dragon sharing the burden, it wasn't easy. He was a 2nd-level Yuan Venerate, while the green dragon was a mid-grade 6 beast. There was still a long way to go before they could refine a top-grade 6 pill. It's just a refined pill. I don't believe you can overturn the heavens. Lin Chun was enraged. He activated his Fire Calamity Battle Body to increase the efficiency of the green dragon's refinement. The 10 Tribulations Body Forging Pill had the effect of breaking through the bottleneck of battle chi. It was extremely effective for those above the 7th-level Yuan Venerate, let alone Lin Chun, who was only at the early stage of the 2nd-level Yuan Venerate. Coupled with the Fire Calamity energy tempering his body, his and the Green Dragon's pure power was rising at an unprecedented speed. Host has absorbed pure Fire Calamity energy. The system has automatically converted it to mid-grade fire attribute, increasing 1 point, 2 points, 3 points. Some of the top powerhouses outside the battlefield were enlightened when they saw this scene. Good fellow. This kid used his manifold black dragon to share the medicinal effects of this pill. Both man and dragon are sharing and absorbing the medicinal effects. If that's the case, it's really possible for this kid to completely refine this pill. One amazing speed of increase in pure power. How can this kid refine the medicinal effects so quickly? Even his manifold profound Azure Dragon is a freak. Could it be a demonic beast? How can it cultivate so quickly? Many powerhouses were both surprised and shocked. Time passed by minute, and the Heavenly Spirit List Conference had entered its final stage. The 29th day, the 30th day, at noon on the 30th day, there was only half a day left before the Heavenly Spirit List Conference officially ended. Everyone thought that Lin Chun would spend the last half of the day in seclusion. Just as they were about to get up and leave, 2 overwhelming auras came from the Heavenly Spirit Battle Pagoda and suddenly awakened. Boom, boom. Lin Chun and the manifold black dragon opened their eyes at almost the same time. The aura condensed from pure power surged, destroying all the snowy mountains within tens of thousands of feet. The earth cracked, and the mountains and rivers collapsed. The audience outside the venue was pleasantly surprised and shocked. The moment they woke up, Lin Chun and the manifold black dragon turned into streaks of light and rushed into the 9th level. They disappeared before everyone's eyes. Outside the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower, the hundreds of millions of experts in all directions fell into a deathly silence. Chapter 443. He actually made it to the 9th level. Oh my god, what kind of creatures will he encounter on the 9th level? They should be at least mid-7th level, and there are 2 of them. How is he going to fight them? This kid really succeeded in refining a top-notch grade 6 elixir pill. What a monster! How many days has it been? Even with my half-purple grade cultivation technique and late 8th level Yuan Venerate 114 Yuan Venerate cultivation base, it will take at least half a month to refine a top-notch grade 6 elixir pill. The audience outside the Sky Spirit Battle Tower was in an uproar. Some of the spectators who were enjoying the show beat their chests and stamped their feet in regret. Because there were no demonic ice stones on the 9th level, they had no way of knowing what kind of opponent Lin Shun had encountered. In the space of the battle tower, after absorbing the 10th Tribulation Body Forging Elixir, Lin Shun's pure power had broken through to 50,000 dragon power points. Furthermore, his intermediate fire energy attribute had reached 59 points, surpassing his dark energy attribute. In terms of battle chi cultivation, he had broken through 2 small realms and reached the late 2nd level. The 3rd Battle Chi Natal Palace was already at the position of his Yuhai Meridian and was beginning to form the embryonic form of a Natal Palace. However, according to the energy of the 10th Tribulation Body Forging Elixir, if he could safely and completely absorb it, he could at least advance from early 2nd level Yuan Venerate to mid-4th level Yuan Venerate. A top-notch grade 6 elixir pill was completely out of the norm for early-stage Yuan Venerates. However, Lin Chen's foundation was different. His 9 calamities of creation allowed him to possess 9 types of tribulation battle bodies. The higher the starting point, the harder it would be to break through. However, this was mainly because the effects of the 10th Tribulation Body Forging Elixir were mainly for refining one's body. If he had consumed a top-notch grade 6 elixir pill that focused on breaking through to the Battle Chi realm, he might have achieved better results. Secondly, the manifold profound green dragon had also refined a large amount of medicinal power. Its dragon veins had increased from 5,100 to 10,200, which was double of what it used to be. 102,000 dragon power points. In terms of pure strength, it was enough to contend against a mid-tier Tier 5. Using Lin Chen's innate offensive and defensive talents as a manifold profound Azure Dragon, he could at least fight a mid-tier Tier 7 expert head-on. This 10 Tribulation Body Forging pill is really awesome. If it weren't for the fact that the refining materials are hard to obtain, I would have refined 8 or 10 of them. Even a late-stage, 7th level Yuan Venerate would have been destroyed in a matter of minutes. While Lin Shun was happily thinking about eating farts, in the blink of an eye, he and the Azure Dragon flew into the space of the 9th floor. This time, the space seemed ethereal and mysterious. Everywhere was filled with clouds and mist, and mountains stood tall. Lin Shun saw a huge door. On top of the door, there were a few vague and ancient words carved in a flamboyant style. Lin Shun activated his purple gold eyes and narrowed his eyes. Just as he was about to read the words clearly, 2 crisp cracking sounds came from the void. Crack! Crack! The sound of the spatial crystal wall shattering caused Lin Shun to gather all his thoughts and focus. 9 glory change, 4-fold transformation. Lin Shun unleashed the 4-fold transformation in one breath. The 4 heaven calamity combat bodies with the highest attributes erupted into illusory battle Chi natal palaces condensed one after another. Finally, when the 4th illusory battle Chi natal palace was condensed, Lin Shen's aura soared by a large margin. He was at the early stage of the 4th level Yuan Venerate realm. By relying on the 4 heaven calamity combat bodies and the enhancement brought about by the 4-fold transformation, Lin Shun could finally step into the 4th level Yuan Venerate realm for a short period of time. The 4th level Yuan Venerate realm is really a miraculous region of transformation. Lin Shun flicked his finger slightly, and a ray of light streaked across the sky, instantly annihilating 10 mountain peaks and turning them into dust. He instantly felt that after the 4 battle Chi natal palaces had formed a connection, the endless and boundless battle Chi that was like 10,000 rivers converging into the sea was extremely powerful. Successor, you're the first to reach the 9th floor. If you defeat us, you will know the truth of this world. Two old men, one in black and one in white, stood in the air and spoke indifferently. Oh, the truth of this world? In that case, I will have to listen to the two of you tell me the truth later. Lin Chin smiled and spun the golden war spear in his hand. Two illusory clones wielding sabers and swords appeared. The two clones, Lin Chun and the 10,000-year dark green dragon, swept towards the black and white old men together. Yin-yang mirror. The two old men's hands suddenly shook, and the two ancient mirrors shot out two beams of light that could destroy the universe. Lin Chen's eyes narrowed. These two were actually late-stage, 7th-level powerhouses. Dark green dragon domain. 10,000-year dark light blade. Dark green dragon aura surrounded the two old men and formed a circular dragon aura barrier. The moment the light beam shone in, the attack suddenly slowed down a little. Then, the light blade carrying the 10,000-year dragon aura slashed down from the dragon claw. Celestial dragon transformation. Golden calamity battle chi, surrounded by faint tribulation, lightning burst out from the 5-color dragon spear that pierced through the void. Extreme lack of water light. Netherworld 7 flashes. When the charging rune was activated, 5 points of rune energy were deducted. His clone turned into the wind calamity body and the water calamity body, and a dazzling blue sword aura was launched 3,000 kilometers away at the maximum speed. The sword aura was as sharp as a dragon as it collided with the saber aura. Bang! 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 Boom! The yin-yang mirror was shattered. The vast saber light and sword light slashed down and turned into a flurry of afterimages. The black-robed old man casually sliced through the void with a finger, and the 10,000-year dark green dragon's dragon aura turned into nothingness. Then he slapped out again. A palm of black light that was several acres in size knocked the dark green dragon back. The dragon scales cracked, and light green dragon blood spurted out. On the other side, the white-robed old man took a step forward. Every step he took was like a star jumping. He avoided the chaotic saber light and sword light that came at him. Flapping his purple phoenix wings, Lin Chin executed 1,000 lightning shadows, flashing 1,000 miles in an instant. He followed closely behind the white-robed old man's head. 50,000 dragon power points combined to strike the mountains and seas, exploding like raging waves, smashing down furiously. The 3 offensive heavenly calamity battle bodies, thunder, metal, and fire, were activated. One spear strike had the power to destroy the world. The old man's sleeve shook like a feather. Bang! The powerful and domineering battle chi made the white-robed old man's sleeve indestructible. It bounced off Lin Chen's spear tip and shattered the space. Lin Chen's arm trembled and went numb. Yuan Ming's blade, which had turned upside down in the air, slashed at the old man's waist. The sword tip was like a divine sword that could split the heavens. The attack was swift and fierce. The white-robed old man reached out his hand and swept above his head. 2 fingers condensed in a crystal-like battle chi and clamped down on the crimson dragon sword. His fingers exerted force, and he swung his hand backward. Together with the sword, he was sent flying. His clone's crimson dragon sword collided with the clone's blade. When the 2 clones collided, the white-robed old man turned around sharply. His battle chi was like a ferocious tiger that was released from its cage. It was powerful and heavy. In an instant, he unleashed a terrifying whip kick that could flatten a mountain range. Lin Chen's eyes narrowed. He activated a slowing rune with 50 rune energy at lightning speed. It froze the space of the white-robed old man's whip kick for a moment before it was shattered. With a boom, the whip kick landed on Lin Chen's 2 clones. Bang! Bang! The 2 clones were sent flying 1,000 miles by the kick. They crashed into countless mountains along the way. 1 against 3, he still had the upper hand. The late-stage 7th-level Yuan Venerate was so strong that it made Lin Chen's scalp tingle. Chapter 444. In the void, the two beams of sacred light tangled together. They fought from the sky to the ground. Every time they collided, there would be dozens of afterimages. They were so fast that, even in naked, I couldn't capture the exact location of their afterimages. Even though Lin Shun used the astral treading teleportation and the purple phoenix wings, his speed still wasn't much faster than the white-robed old man's. Both sides never stopped attacking. Four 20,000-meter-tall Azura statues were chanting as they unleashed four devastating spiritual blasts that could destroy the entire galaxy. The white-robed old man formed a seal with his hands, and a protective shield emitted tyrannical spiritual fluctuations and battle chi spirals, protecting him tightly. Chi, bang, bang, boom. Wherever the spiritual attacks passed, they shattered countless mountains and soared into the nine heavens. More than half of the white-robed old man's defenses were shattered, but it didn't hurt him at all. At that moment, the five-color dragon light above the white-robed old man's head flashed, and the five dragons' imperial spear came crashing down. The white-robed old man reacted quickly and pushed his hands out. The battle chi of both sides collided through his palms and the tip of the spear, causing an explosion. The shockwave shook the clouds and mist, causing the spatial crystal walls to crack inch by inch. Lin Shun, who was in the void, retreated dozens of steps while holding his spear. The white-robed old man took 3 steps back and stabilized himself. Damn, it's so strong. Lin Shun gasped. The strength of a late-stage, 7th-level Yuan Venerate was far beyond his imagination. These were 3 early-stage, 4th-level Yuan Venerates, Lin Shun, yet the white-robed old man could still fight head-on and even suppress them. If Lin Shun hadn't activated the slowing rune to freeze the space and reduce the explosive power and attack power of that kick, the white-robed old man's 2 clones would have been destroyed. Lin Shun didn't have much rune energy left to fight such a powerhouse, especially when he used the charging rune to activate a purple tier battle skill. It consumed at least 5 points of rune energy each time. If this continued, Lin Shun would use up the remaining 700 points of rune energy before long. Do I have to use the penetration rune in advance? But if I can't even deal with the penetration rune, then I really don't have any means to determine the winner. Lin Shun's mind was like lightning as he glanced at the Azure Dragon not far away. At this moment, the 10,000-year profound Azure Dragon was being attacked by the black-robed old man. Its body, which was known for its powerful defense, was covered in blood and lacerations. Facing a late-stage, 7th-layer profound Azure Dragon, even though its strength had skyrocketed, it could only stall for a moment. They were simply not on the same level. Looks like it's impossible to use the same combat method as on the 8th floor. Azure Dragon Possession. With that command, the Azure Dragon turned into a ray of light and shot into Lin Shun's body. His pure strength rose to over 100,000 dragon points. Lin Shun consumed another 30 points of rune energy. His battle chi of 9 tribulations decreased rapidly as he summoned a phantom doppelganger. The 3 clones were all at the early stage of the 4th level of cultivation. They flew towards the black-robed old man and surrounded him. Oh, what a miraculous doppelganger. An Azure Dragon that can attach itself to your body. Interesting. The white-robed old man was slightly surprised. Lin Shun smiled casually and said, "There's still many things that can surprise you, Senior. Please guide me." The 3 clones could only delay the black-robed old man for a while at most. If Lin Shun could not finish off the opponent in front of him quickly, then there would be no possibility of him passing the 9th floor. Demonic Spear Rend. The Azura above his head held the spear. Lin Shun's 100,000 dragon points were fully unleashed, and a shocking rainbow light shot out. He had used his full strength right from the start. The charging rune and the penetration rune were instantly activated, and the rune energy decreased sharply by 100 points. A purple tier battle technique cultivated to perfection. Although I don't have a real purple tier battle technique, My cultivation is still here. The white-robed old man's expression was indifferent. He grabbed at the air, and a huge, icy green claw that was over 10 acres in size suddenly grabbed at Lin Shun. Rip! The rainbow light streaked across the sky and tore apart the huge green claw. The white-robed old man finally revealed a look of shock and astonishment. The murderous aura of the rainbow light swept over. He hurriedly activated his battle aura to defend himself, and his yin-yang acupoints protected his entire body. Bang! A total of 20,000 dragon power points and 20% of the Dark Calamity's energy had penetrated his battle chi defense and surged into his internal organs, causing him to bleed profusely. He hurriedly circulated his battle chi in his natal palace to heal himself. His eyes were filled with astonishment. I clearly blocked this kid's attack. How could he still penetrate my defense and enter my body? Lin Shin did not give his opponent any time to breathe. His attacks were as ferocious as a raging tide. The 5 dragons' imperial spear danced and stabbed at lightning speed. Streaks of spear shadows surrounded by dark aura pierced the sky. Every spear strike was like a demon's howl, and it was as if it could topple mountains and overturn seas as it attacked the white-robed old man. 1,000 demons piercing the heart. Lin Shun quickly pulled the battle spear back and activated the second move of the Shura demonic spear. 1,000 demons piercing the heart. The penetration rune and charging rune reduced the rune's energy by another 200 points. The terrifying spear shadows crashed into the white-robed old man's defense like a violent storm. 20% of the spear's power penetrated his body. This time, the white-robed old man was unable to defend himself against Lin Chen's attacks. His body was penetrated by the spear shadows again and again. This kid's trump card is extraordinary. The black-robed old man narrowed his eyes. He took a step forward, and Lin Chen's 3 avatars tried their best to stop him. The dark spear shadows covered the sky and the moon. Finally, the white-robed old man fell from the sky. He was severely injured, and even his puppet body was bleeding profusely. The white-robed old man's injuries were so severe, and there was a very fatal reason for it. It was because of his defensive treasure. The penetration rune could allow part of the attack's destructive power to penetrate the battle chi, but it could not penetrate the special defense of a defensive treasure. Therefore, if it was outside the battle tower, Lin Shin's attack would not have caused such great damage to the white-robed old man. A late-stage, 7th-stage martial artist would more or less have 1 or 2 life-saving treasures. However, it was different inside the battle tower. The creatures inside the battle tower were already dead, and their wills were attached to the puppets. They did not have any extra treasures to protect their lives. Whoosh! Lin Shun used the astral treading teleportation technique and rushed toward the white-robed old man at full speed. As long as he eliminated the white-robed old man first, he would have a chance to win. He raised the 5 dragons' imperial spear and smashed it down on the old man's head. At this critical moment, as if he had expected it, a palm of energy with restrained light slammed toward Lin Chen's back. Lin Chen's eyes were like lightning. He instantly activated the 1,000 Yuexian armor and swung his battle spear backward. Bang! Boom! The energy palm blasted Lin Chen away and knocked him to the ground, saving the white-robed old man. The black-robed old man had already arrived. He had already eliminated 2 of Lin Chen's 3 clones. Damn it, something's wrong. I missed the last chance to kill him. In a shattered ley line abyss, Lin Chen's mouth was bleeding. His bones were almost broken. He glanced at the 300 points of rune energy in the system. If he could not kill the white-robed old man first, he would not have much chance to fight the black-robed old man with so little rune energy. He sent his battle chi into the white-robed old man's body, and his injuries recovered a little. The 2 of them floated in the air. The last clone stood beside Lin Shun, holding a sword and waiting. That old man recovered a little more. I can only try to use the slowing rune now. Just as Lin Shun was about to go all out, a thought flashed through his mind. No, I can still break through the limit one more time. Maybe I won't be very strong, but I still have a chance. Lin Shen suddenly remembered the talent he had obtained before. Ultimate Moment Talent. Chapter 445. To Lin Shen, who had temporarily stepped into the beginner stage of Tier 4, doubling the power of his battle techniques was definitely not a small improvement. Lin Shen, still had a chance. Unify 4. I need to consume 1,000 talent points to activate the ultimate moment. The moment Lin Shen issued the command, the system instantly activated, and a screen popped up. Host activates the ultimate moment. Duration, 2 minutes. This brat's attack can penetrate our battle or defense. Don't give him time to breathe. Attack him together. The white-robed elder said in a deep voice. He nodded to the black-robed elder. Both of them pushed the void with their palms and pulled open a yin-yang ancient mirror. Two black and white light pillars suddenly shot out, spanning thousands of miles and illuminating Lin Shen. At this moment, as if some kind of switch had been turned on his body, Lin Shen's entire body emitted a faint green glow. He had entered the ultimate moment state. The attack came crashing down with a monstrous momentum, and the pressure was extraordinary. He subconsciously wanted to avoid the joint attack of the two, leaving behind the last phantom clone to guard the rear. He took light steps and suddenly swept across the void, advancing at full speed through the astral treading teleportation. Boom! The light pillars swept across, and everything within 1,000 miles was annihilated into nothingness in just 2 short breaths. Bang! Lin Shen's figure swept across tens of thousands of miles and crashed into several mountains. He fell on the peak of a mountain, his mouth wide open and his expression dumbfounded. It was too fast. The speed of his astral treading teleportation was actually several times faster than before. It was so fast that he couldn't control it properly and directly crashed into the mountain peak. Could it be that the ultimate moment means that the power of my techniques will be doubled? Lin Shen subconsciously opened the talent description, and he immediately noticed a few words. The power of all the host techniques will be doubled. F*CK. The power of all my techniques will be doubled? That means that my movement, defense, and attack techniques will all be doubled? Lin Shen, who was slightly sucking in cold air, was full of shock and ecstasy. If that was the case, then the value of this talent was much greater than he had expected. The charging rune could increase the power of battle techniques by 4 times, but only the attack techniques. It did not include defense and movement techniques. Therefore, Lin Shen's ultimate moment talent made up for the shortcomings of Lin Shen's other combat skills. However, Lin Shen suddenly realized that something was wrong. If it was just a movement technique that was doubled, it wouldn't be enough to make him lose control when he used it. That's not right. All cultivation techniques. My mental cultivation method for the 9 tribulations of Genesis is also included in the cultivation method. When he thought of the last possibility, Mr. Lin was completely shocked. F*CK. If the mental cultivation method is included, then the power of the mental cultivation method will be doubled first, and then all the cultivation methods will be doubled. Wouldn't that be F*King quadrupled? Lin Shen was so excited that he cursed on the spot. All of his combat skills had quadrupled. That meant that all of his combat skills would have the effect of a level 4 charge rune in these 2 minutes. Moreover, it wasn't just limited to 4 times the offensive combat skills, but all combat skills. Apart from a 9 brilliance transformation, which was a special secret manual that could trigger Heavenly Tribulation battle aura and could not be modified or increased, all of Lin Shen's combat skills would undergo a qualitative transformation. When he thought of this, Lin Shen suddenly felt that he was really blind in the past. He actually didn't notice this detail and thought that this was a useless talent. He didn't expect it to be so strong that it made one's hair stand on end. Ultimate moment. Ha, good name. This effect is worthy of this name. Lin Shen leaped into the air and laughed wildly. Then he immediately chewed 2 low-grade 6th-grade pills. Although the effect of the ultimate moment was strong, the consumption of battle aura was also doubled. Yin-Yang Dual Polarity Sword. A sword that could split heaven and earth suddenly slashed down, cutting through the clouds. The sword's momentum surged as it pierced toward Lin Shun. Lin Shun casually took a step forward. Boom! Boom! His astral treading teleportation erupted with a terrifying effect like jumping through space. The sword flattened mountains and seas, but the two old men's expressions changed drastically. The attack that they were so proud of actually didn't hit Lin Shun. The golden battle spear's edge flashed. The two old men grabbed at the void and broke through hundreds of miles of space crystal, but they grabbed empty air. Lin Shen's figure flickered one after another. He was so fast that even the two old men couldn't predict where his next attack would come from. Thousand Demons' piercing heart. Lin Shun thrust the Five Dragons' imperial spear with extreme speed, rolling up a monstrous dark spear shadow. Countless space crystal walls were pierced through, creating a pitch-black and serene vacuum zone. The attack came from all directions around the two old men, and it was unknown how many times stronger than before. How is this possible? The two old men were shocked. They hurriedly activated their battle aura to defend themselves, but they couldn't block Lin Chen's dark spear. Every time, 20% of the attack power penetrated their bodies, and their injuries accumulated more and more serious. Lin Chen's Thousand Demons' piercing heart this time was many times stronger than before. The ultimate moment state activated the charging rune and the penetration rune. This shocking attack completely destroyed the two old men's battle aura defense. Lin Chen once again brandished the Five Dragons' imperial spear and pressed forward, suppressing the two old men until they were defeated. Azura's Fury. Two Azura demon images appeared, and the charging rune and penetration rune were activated, bursting forth with heavy spiritual attacks. 20% of the spiritual attacks entered the two old men's minds, causing their consciousness to be broken in an instant. At this moment, a grayish-white talisman shot out like lightning. Lin Shun used 150 points of rune energy to suppress the black-robed old man. Boom! Boom! A dark dragon palm came crashing down on the white-robed old man, who was no longer able to resist. The palm penetrated his chest, and the 9-layered dark dragon force rotated and penetrated the two old men. Bang! 100,000 dragon power points in the ultimate moment state activated the 9-layered dark dragon force, and then activated the charging rune and penetration rune. This palm, a dark dragon, traversed the sky, and it actually had the feeling of destroying the world. Rumble! The space around the two old men was torn apart by the dark dragon phantom, creating an unprecedented vacuum. The two old men's puppet bodies were blasted into pieces, and a large number of attribute light balls burst into the void. Along with the attribute light balls, two pillars of light descended, and two purple crystal treasure chests appeared. Host has defeated a strong enemy and triggered a special reward with a low probability of triggering. Host is rewarded with two purple crystal treasure chests. Host has received 60 Cultivation Technique Soul Essences, 600 Talent Points, 550 Heaven's Path Points, 1,700 Battle Aura Essences. Host has received 300 Heaven's Path Points, 2 points of Spiritual Power, 21 points of Dark Energy, 90 points of Rune Energy. Lin Shun kept a large number of attribute light balls. Because the puppets did not have any blood, they did not drop any blood attribute light balls. The ultimate moment's consumption of battle aura is too terrifying. If I fight for a while longer, my battle aura will probably be completely depleted. Lin Shun was sweating profusely. He removed the ultimate moment and the 4-layered Azura 9 Brilliance transformation and reached out to grab the 3 treasure chests. Chapter 446. The moment he opened the 3 treasure chests, Lin Chen's body went numb, as if he had been electrocuted. The recovery speed of his injuries and weakened state had actually increased by a little. I actually got another God Slayer fragment. I'm still missing the last one. Lin Shen ignored his weakened state and excitedly opened the system interface. Heavenly Path Possession System version 4.0 Host Lin Shen Cultivation Late Stage 2nd Level Yuan Venerate Realm Maximum Power 50,000 Dragon Power Mid-Grade Blood Energy 139 500 Mid-Grade Battle Chi Essence 113 300 Mid-Grade Mind Power 11 Mid-Law Phase Realm Mid-Grade Cultivation Technique Essence 855 Mid-Grade Rune Energy 1 755 Heaven Path Points 20 600 Talent Points 29 80 Mid-Grade Elemental Energy 59 for Fire 27 for Earth 8 for Wood 30 for Metal 36 for Water 27 for Lightning 29 for Wind 5 for Light 88 for Dark Cultivation Technique Status Column Open Bloodline Status Column Open Talents Reinforced Iron Bones 10% Ultimate Moment God Slayer Fragment 2/3 Health Increase 1% Attribute Runes Level for Slowing Rune Level for Penetration Rune Level for Charging Rune Level for Illusion Rune Treasures in Possession 95 Tier 6 Medicinal Herbs 7 Tier 6 Elixir Pills 5 Top Grade Blue Tier 5 Combat Skills 5 Low Grade Tier 6 Combat Weapons 2 High Grade Tier 6 Combat Weapons New Passive Talent Life Increase Passive Talent that can be strengthened with talent points. Increases the host's self-recovery speed, including weakened, poisoned, external, and internal injuries. All recovery speed is limited to the host tolerance. If it exceeds the tolerance, it will be ineffective. Can be strengthened to a maximum of 100%. Lin Shen was overjoyed by this new talent. He tapped on the talent column and strengthened it. 10,000 talent points consumed. 10,000 talent points consumed. The host has strengthened the life, increased talent to 30%. Instantly, Lin Shen felt his entire body go numb, like a slight electric current. After using the 9 brilliant transformations, his weakened state and the automatic recovery speed of his injuries had increased by several times. Then, Lin Shen used 5,000 talent points to strengthen reinforced iron bones to 15%. It's still more practical to bring along more than 10,000 talent points. Haha. With the ultimate moment, as long as I don't encounter an 8th level Yuan Venerate, I won't be afraid at all. The harvest this time far exceeded Lin Shen's expectations. The power of the ultimate moment was far beyond Lin Shen's expectations. Aside from the fact that his battle chi was being consumed at an extremely fast rate, Lin Shen in his ultimate form was practically flawless. The attribute points of the intermediate battle chi essence that he had picked up on the 9th floor had exceeded 15,000 points. Now, Lin Shen was only half a step away from Tier 3. Outside the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower, since Lin Shen entered the 9th floor, many experts have been waiting. No one dared to leave. Everyone was waiting for Lin Shen's result. While everyone was still discussing, a light screen appeared outside the battle tower. Contestant Lin Shen passed the Double Challenge Tower's 9th floor. Time used 45 minutes. In a split second, the lively venue fell into a dead silence. Even the entire Swallow capital was like this. Lin Shen had passed the 9th floor. Furthermore, it was a double challenge. What kind of concept was this? There were 2 early-stage 7th-level beings on the 8th floor, and there were at least mid-stage 7th-level beings on the 9th floor. It might even be late-stage 7th-level beings. A late-stage 7th-level powerhouse would definitely be considered a top-tier powerhouse in any first-rate faction. Even in ancient families, such a powerhouse would enjoy an extremely high status. Between ancient families, the strength of their opponents depended on whether they were 6th-level Yuan Venerates or above. Needless to say, the strength of a 7th-level Yuan Venerate was even greater. When they thought about how Lin Shen, a young man who wasn't even a 3rd-level Yuan Venerate, could actually match a late-stage 7th-level being, they realized that there might even be 2 of them. Many powerhouses couldn't help but feel their scalps go numb. What was even more terrifying was that this fellow was a four-time champion. He was a young man who had reached the pinnacle of blacksmithing, alchemy, and fortune-telling. He actually did it. Indeed, he is the spiritual state's only hope. The deputy dean stared at the light screen outside the battle tower, his eyes glowing with unprecedented hope. On the ninth floor, Lin Chun didn't know that the outside world was in an uproar because of him. He collected his thoughts and looked up at the giant door in the sky. As he activated his purple-gold eyes, he scanned the blurry, ancient words. Immediately, his mind jolted as he read them out loud. Fire Phoenix, Big Dipper, number 19? What does this mean? In Lin Chen's mind, he suddenly recalled a similar memory. Imperial God, Mysterious Dragon, number 47. Fire Phoenix, Big Dipper, number 19. Is there a connection between these two? Imperial God, Mysterious Dragon, number 47. This small string of memories originated from the memory words that Lin Chun had engraved in the Demon Emperor's inheritance memories when he had been in the Purgatory Mystic Realm. In addition to this word, Lin Chen's mind also had a strange picture engraved on it. The surface of the picture was like a snake, and the lines were complicated and mysterious. There was no mystery to it at all. Number 19, number 47? Are there dozens of code names between these two? What exactly does this mean? Moreover, given Hun Mabai's previous status, there is no reason for him to search for the Devil Emperor's inheritance. Compared to his foundation, the Devil Emperor's low-level purple tier chi technique is not even worth mentioning. Many thoughts flashed across Lin Chen's mind, and his sharp senses caught the anomaly. With Hun Mabai's identity, he had no reason to covet the inheritance of a battle emperor. If there was something he wanted in the Demon Emperor's inheritance, it would be the secret hidden in the inheritance. Imperial God, Mysterious Dragon, number 47 foot, descendant of the spiritual state, may you become the light of hope. At this moment, an old and obscure voice sounded in Lin Chen's mind, and a ball of spirit light floated down from the void. After making sure that the ball of spirit light was harmless to him, Lin Chen reached out his hand and refined the spirit intent inside it into his spirit seed. Lin Chen's spirit consciousness saw a whole new world. It was a continent as vast as a galaxy. It was incomparably vast, and many powerhouses were flying in the sky and burrowing into the endless void. Many powerhouses of the demon race were fighting in a chaotic battle. The sky and earth were dark, and the universe was collapsing. The entire sky was filled with countless chaotic battles. This was an unprecedented war. Countless Yuan venerables, battle emperors, and even the legendary supreme saints were involved in the battle. The scale of any battle inside was far beyond Lin Chen's imagination. An emotionless and cold voice resounded in Lin Chen's mind. There is a calamity beyond the heavens, and the demon race is invading. We have joined the battle to defend the heavens, and hundreds of saints have fallen. In order to prevent the truth from being buried, I hereby leave behind my last wisp of spirit consciousness. Chapter 447. The demon race is definitely not the mortal enemy of a human race. Descendants should not be used as weapons. The fall of 100 sages was passed down by the sages. The sages left behind the world, suppressing sacred steel to prevent demons and monsters from coveting our descendants in the 9 states. Although the hypocrite sage did not achieve his goal, his descendants will control the 9 states sooner or later. If our descendants achieve something one day, please overthrow his descendants and save the 9 states. Lin Chen's fragmented spiritual will become thinner and thinner. In the end, Lin Chen saw that many saints had fallen in the various realms of the 9 regions. Their bodies had turned into mountains and seas, and even condensed into a vast and majestic stone tablet, suppressing the continental plate. The steel was engraved with the divine power and spirituality of the sages. It had the power of creation and was hidden in the secular world. Some turned into mountains, some turned into storms, some turned into stars, and some turned into deserts. There were also some that turned into a tall tower that reached the 9 heavens and rushed into the clouds. As it condensed, Lin Shin saw a series of code names. Fire Phoenix, Big Dipper number 19. Lin Shun was completely focused, afraid that he would miss a single detail. Then he saw a world-suppressing sacred steel fall into the easternmost part of the continent. Finally, it turned into 2 valleys that were shaped like crescent moons. On it was engraved Imperial God Mysterious Dragon number 47. Lin Shin remembered the location of the valleys very clearly. If it corresponded to the current 9-states continent, its approximate location would be the Divine Prefecture. Imperial God Mysterious Dragon number 47 was in the most prosperous divine prefecture in the 9-states continent. It was said that there were servants and descendants of the gods in charge of the heavens and earth. Lin Shin's heart couldn't calm down for a long time after he finished looking at this ball of spirit light. That battle had been too shocking. He hadn't even fought an 8th level or 9th level Yuan Venerate, let alone a battle between a war emperor and a saint. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. In the 9-states continent, even children and mortals know that the human race in the 9-states continent was created by the gods. It was the gods who gave us intelligence and life. It was also the gods who created the 9-states continent and divided it into 9 continental plates. But why didn't a god appear in the inheritance of the spiritual light? Why didn't a god appear? Moreover, the 9 provinces continent wasn't made up of 9 continental plates. Instead, it was connected into one complete continent. It was only after experiencing that unprecedented war that the 9 regions continent split into 9 continents and evolved into the final 9 regions. Who's the one lying? Who represented the truth? Where were the gods, and what was with the descendants of the gods? Why didn't the gods appear during the Great War, but after countless years, the descendants of the gods ran rampant in the 9 regions? Lin Shin's heart was filled with questions. He seriously looked at the Fire Phoenix, Big Dipper, number 19 on the giant door. After receiving the information contained within the spiritual light ball, Lin Shin knew that this was a world-suppressing sacred steel. It was a relic left behind by a sage, and it contained the sage's inheritance. However, according to the spiritual light ball, the boundary-suppressing sacred steel would not reveal its true form. This heavenly spirit battle tower had revealed its true form for many years. Obviously, it already had an owner. What about the sacred god, Mysterious Dragon, number 47? According to his previous memories, the world-suppressing sacred steel number 47 was located in the most prosperous divine continent. There were countless geniuses there, and even the descendants of the gods were there. Had it also been discovered? No matter what, I have to make a trip to the divine continent when I have time. This world-suppressing sacred steel is no small matter. It contains the inheritance of a sage. If I can obtain the inheritance of a sage, perhaps I can take a step closer to the truth. When facing the so-called god behind the Ning family, I will have more confidence. Lin Shin's eyes flashed. He had already made up his mind. As long as he had the chance, he would go to the divine continent to investigate. With a flash of light, Lin Shin stepped into the exit of the 9th floor and disappeared. Outside the battle tower, an unprecedented earthquake was set off in the Yin capital because of Lin Shin. Lin Shin seemed to have expected it and deliberately used the Azure Dragon Shadow to sneak into the void. Other than a few experts, no one saw when he left the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower. The Heavenly Spirit List Conference came to an end. Hanging above the Yin capital was a majestic ranking board that was tens of thousands of zhang tall. Countless names and ranks were listed on it. There were also the names of the previous champions, but there was an incomparably eye-catching name on the list. Lin Shin, 79th Heavenly Spirit List Conference. Number 1 in calculation, number 1 in power ranking, number 1 in forging, number 1 in alchemy. This was the first time in history that he had won 4 consecutive championships. His brilliance would shine through the ages and be unprecedented. especially since he was the first person in history to reach the 8th and ninth levels. And he was the only one to challenge the two-team mode alone. With regard to the commotion in the Yin capital, Lin Shun ignored it and rushed to the treasure pavilion at full speed. He bought the 5th volume of the Azura 9 Brilliant Transformations. Other than that, he still had more than 1,000 heavenly spirit points left. The champion of the finals could obtain 500 heavenly spirit points, and he had won a total of 4 finals. Every heavenly spirit point was extremely precious. 1 heavenly spirit point could be exchanged for a 6th level heavenly treasure. This time, Lin Shun had used up all his heavenly spirit points to buy hundreds of medicinal herbs and a small number of rare ores. After the purchase, Lin Shun buried himself in the secret room and used a day to recover to his peak state. Then, he used 90 points of cultivation technique essence to inherit the 5th volume of the Azura 9 Brilliant Transformations. After completing the inheritance of the 5th volume of the Azura 9 Brilliant Transformations, Lin Shun ended his seclusion. At this time, the experts of the Yin capital had already begun to leave. After the upper echelons of the Heavenly Song Academy had finished dealing with many matters, the vice principal personally brought Lin Shun back to the Heavenly Song Academy. One day later, in the Academy's secret room, the surroundings were filled with battle chi barriers, and Lin Shun was ready for battle. He placed a jade box from the spirit storage ring in the secret room, and then tore off the seal that contained 2 powerful battle chi. The jade box exploded. A black saber flew through the air, its sharpness like the reincarnation of the night, annihilating life silently. It was Han Mabai's 7th rank saber, Eternal Night. Previously, although Lin Shun could temporarily suppress this saber, he could not completely subdue it. Han Mabai's battle chi imprint still remained on it, and it was an imprint carved by his divine veins. It would not be easy to make this saber submit to him. In addition, this saber could not be exposed to the light. Even an ordinary combat emperor might not be able to own a 7th rank saber. If he used it carelessly, it would be easy to invite a fatal disaster. In addition, if someone knew Han Mabai's identity and recognized this saber, Lin Shun would be more likely to be in trouble. Therefore, Lin Shun would only use this saber at a critical moment. My strength is not what it used to be. I can't even subdue a saber of yours. Suppress it. Lin Shun activated the 3rd level of the Azura 9 Brilliant Transformations at lightning speed, and his strength rose to the late 3rd level. He controlled Eternal Night with one hand and suppressed it fiercely. The 7 types of heavenly calamity battle bodies were activated one after another, and Lin Shun forcefully injected his battle chi into the saber. The Azure Dragon possessed his body, and his pure strength reached 100,000 dragon power points, firmly suppressing Eternal Night. Chapter 448. Heavenly Tribulation Battle. Chi entered the blade of Eternal Night, and a green mark in the shape of a plum blossom was engraved inside the blade. Activating his battle chi and spiritual energy, Lin Shun tried to erase this mark and get rid of its remaining will. This process was very difficult. The power of the godly bloodline was still strong, and Lin Shun used 3 days to suppress, resist, and erase it. On the 4th day, he finally suppressed this level 7 Emperor-level saber. He also successfully engraved his spiritual mark. Phew, I'm exhausted. Lin Shun sat on the ground, and the saber Eternal Night leaned against him as if it had a mind of its own. I have a level 7 saber now. At least I don't have to worry about being suppressed by others in terms of weapons. After playing with Eternal Night for a while, Lin Shun put it away and sat cross-legged to recover his energy. Then he opened the system and spent 400 intermediate cultivation technique soul essences in one go to inherit the other complete combat skill in his hands. Inheriting the low-level, purple-level combat technique Soul Slayer Slash for the host. This combat technique was used by Han Ma Bai, and Lin Shun had seen the power of this combat technique with his own eyes. The level 7 saber Eternal Night was like adding wings to a tiger when paired with this saber technique. On the third day, Lin Shun completed the inheritance of this saber technique. His strength would increase by another level with Eternal Night, Soul Slayer Slash, and 9 Brilliance Change in the 5th volume. Lin Shun left the secret chamber and returned to his dormitory. When he wanted to get some fresh air, he was surprised to find a large group of masters blocking the entrance to his dormitory. These masters were all famous figures from the top-tier forces in the spiritual state. At this moment, they were all standing at the entrance of the dormitory with congratulatory gifts and children in their hands. At this moment, some elders blocked the entrance to the dormitory with strange expressions on their faces. It was a wonderful scene. What he saw next made Lin Chuan's jaw drop. He was dumbfounded. At this moment, some masters couldn't help but cry and beg. "Elders, please allow me to meet little friend Lin Shun. I've been waiting here with my daughter for 4 days and 4 nights. Elder Liao, you know my granddaughter. She's a top-notch beauty in the cold region. Although she's not good enough for little friend Lin Shun, this old man only hopes that little friend Lin Shun can suffer for 1 night and have a few intimate moments with my granddaughter. As soon as the sun rises, little friend Lin Shun only needs to put up his pants and leave. Our sect will personally escort him back. If I dare to mention anything about status, I'm not human." A dignified 6th level Yuan venerate elder in embroidered robes was actually pleading with Elder Yuan, "Your granddaughter is a top beauty." Old man Meow, are you looking down on our Flying Clouds palaces, Yin Qian Shuangxia? Our Yin Qingxia and Yin Qinxia are much prettier than your granddaughter. The beautiful woman in palace attire scolded coldly. Then she smiled amiably and said to Elder Yuan, "Elder Yuan, I heard that you have a good relationship with Lin Shun. I would like to trouble you to tell him that we only wish for him to indulge in our palace's twin female disciples for 1 night. Just 1 night. We won't hold Lin Shun back. If he still likes them, he can choose any of the girls in the Soaring Clouds Palace." Everyone stop. What are you shouting for? Our Han family was clearly here first. Why are you so familiar with this? Haven't you heard about the alchemy ceremony of the ancient families? Lin Shun is our Ziyun's assistant alchemist. The two of them have already developed feelings for each other. Even if they want to do it, it has to be first come, first served. At this moment, the 2 grand elders of the Han family couldn't help but protest. Han Ziyun, who was beside them, blushed like an apple. Who knew that the grand elders of her family would be even more imposing? She turned around and ran away anxiously. Elder Yuan felt his scalp go numb. Crazy. They must be crazy. This bunch of old fogies were all respectable people. Today, they didn't even care about their dignity. They were all F***king crazy. The male geniuses outside the dormitory area shook their heads in amazement. It was simply amazing. What was the pinnacle of life? It was so awesome that the saintesses of the first-rate forces and ancient families in the spiritual state would send themselves to his door, only willing to spend a night with him, even if they didn't have a status. It was F***king awesome for a man to reach this level. Not far away, the boys of Class 66 were rolling on the ground laughing so hard that tears were coming out of their eyes. Even Mr. Lin, who was secretly observing, was so scared that his hair stood on end. In fact, this wasn't rare. One had to know that ever since Lin Shun defeated 4 Purple Merit Warriors, he had been showing potential that could topple the ages. Then he became the only person to win 4 consecutive championships in the Heavenly Spirit List Tournament and the only person to step into the 9th level of the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower. It pushed his reputation to an unprecedented peak in the spiritual state. Some people said that he was the reincarnation of a saint. Some even said that he was the descendant of a god left behind in the mortal world. He was only 20 years old. If he could have such achievements, how terrifying would it be if he inherited Lin Chen's bloodline and gave birth to his descendants? Even if he only inherited 1/10 of his talent, he might have the talent to at least enter the 5th level of the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower. Or maybe he was already a grandmaster in alchemy and forging at such a young age. And this was only 1/10 of his talent. What if he inherited half of his talent? He might even have the talent to enter the 8th level of the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower. One had to know that Lin Shun was participating in the two-man team competition, which couldn't be measured by the difficulty of the individual competition. How could people not go crazy over such a heaven-shaking and peerless talent? Seeing more and more experts leading their own daughters, younger sisters, granddaughters, great-granddaughters, and even a few saintesses to the dormitory area, Elder Yuan was both angry and amused. You bunch of crazy old things. No matter how good my relationship with that brat is, I can't make decisions for him in this regard. No, Elder Yuan, I beg you, please help us. Many masters were wailing. In the dormitory area, Lin Fan's mouth was twitching violently. After being cocky for so long, he finally got to enjoy the treatment of being the most handsome man in the 9 states. Our class monitor, don't you plan to go out and have a harem of 3,000 women? At this time, a faint feminine fragrance lingered in the air. A group of girls appeared behind Lin Shun. They were the girls of class 66. Yu Lin, who was leading the group, covered her mouth and chuckled. She pretended not to care, but her beautiful eyes were observing Lin Chen's reaction. How can the girls outside be as pretty as you little cuties? Lin Chen winked and smiled evilly at the girls. Yu Lin rolled her eyes at Lin Chen. Before the girls could speak, 3 figures rushed into Lin Chen's dormitory area. Bring them here quickly. Be careful. Junior Lin Chen, something bad happened. A series of hurried voices came from a distance. The people who came were Lin Tianjian, Xia Feiyu, and Lu Ying, whom Lin Shun had once saved. Among them, Lu Ying was carrying a beautiful figure on her back. It was Lung Yueqi. Lin Chen's eyes immediately turned cold. Chapter 449. What's going on? When Lin Chen asked, Lu Ying hurriedly said, Miss Lung Yueqi was discovered when she sneaked into the 4 prime ministers' pavilion and was severely injured by their people. We only found her when we were passing by the 4 prime ministers' pavilion to carry out mission. We barely managed to bring her back in the name of the academy. Lin Chen immediately checked Lung Yueqi's injuries. Her blood-stained, slender hand grabbed Lin Chen's sleeve. Her lips trembled as tears flickered in her eyes. Lin Shun, the enemy who killed my parents, is in the 4 prime ministers' pavilion. As soon as she said this, the killing intent in Lin Chen's eyes suddenly brewed with thousands of sharp rays. Late at night, Lin Chen's dormitory area. A warm current seeped into Lung Yueqi's delicate body. Her beautiful eyes opened slightly, and the young man's face came into view. How is it? Are you all right? Lin Chen asked with concern. Lung Yueqi got up from the bed. She had always been strong and independent, but this time her eyes were red and tears streamed down. Hugging the beauty, Lin Chen gently stroked Lung Yueqi's black hair. After her emotions stabilized, he asked the reason. It turned out that Lung Yueqi did not go to the Heavenly Spirit List Assembly to meet up with Lin Chen because there was a new investigation discovery. Back then, she had always suspected that there was something fishy about her parents' deaths. According to the mission given by the family, it was only to collect some heaven and earth treasures. Although the mission location was slightly dangerous, with the strength of her parents, it was impossible for both of them to die so thoroughly. After returning from the holy fire level, Lung Yueqi already had enough strength. She went to the place where her parents died and investigated the truth of that year. After nearly half a year of searching back and forth, not letting go of any clues, she finally found a clue. In the place where her parents died, Frost Grand Canyon, there was a special battle trace, a crack similar to claw marks. After Lung Yueqi obtained evidence, it was a trace left behind by a combat skill called 4 Prime Azure Dragon Force. And this combat skill was the inherited combat skill of the 4 Prime Minister's Pavilion. The grade was half purple, and only a few high-level powerhouses would use it. Coincidentally, the two ancestors of the Four Elements Pavilion had been in closed-door training for a period of time when Lung Yuechi's parents died, and their cultivation had improved greatly. Therefore, Lung Yuechi reported this matter to the Lung clan. However, because a portion of the upper echelons of the Lung clan had gone to the Heavenly Spirit List Assembly, the other portion was afraid of the overall strength of the four-phase pavilion. Although this sect's strength was not strong on the surface, the disciples of the pavilion had spread their influence in many top-notch first-rate forces. It would be inappropriate to rashly question them. The elder who stayed behind to guard the Lung clan replied to Lung Yuechi that they had to wait until the end of the Heavenly Spirit List Assembly and the elders returned before making a decision. However, seeing that the cause of her parents' deaths was right in front of her eyes, Lung Yuechi could not wait for the Heavenly Spirit List Assembly to end before sneaking into the Four Ministers' Pavilion. In the end, after confirming that the two great ancestors of the Four Ministers' Pavilion were the ones who killed her parents, Lung Yuechi exposed her whereabouts. After hearing the entire story, Lin Chun fell into a short silence. Lung Yuechi clenched her teeth and said with a tearful voice, "I'm sorry, was I too reckless? I also want to calm down, but Teacher Yuechi, no. Yuechi, you did the right thing." Lin Chun held her in his arms as a cold light flashed in his eyes. No one can remain calm in front of their enemies who killed their parents. You've done a good job all these years. Next, try to rely on me. Hearing the youth's comforting words, Lung Yuechi grabbed his clothes and sobbed softly. A moment later, Lung Yuechi's face returned to its usual cold and beautiful appearance. She smiled sweetly, her beauty unmatched in her generation. "Then, let me rely on you this one time." The next morning, Lin Chun pushed open the door to his room and flew into the air with Lung Yuechi. "I say, class monitor, you're going to cause trouble and not bring us along. Isn't that too much?" That's right. I only found out now that Teacher Yuechi and the class monitor are together. This is a forbidden love. You can't leave us out of such a good thing." At this time, the young boys and girls teased behind the two. Lu Ying, Lin Tianjian, Xia Fiyu, Han Ziyun, Yun Manqing, and the others were also among them. Facing the crowd, Lin Chen smiled. "Then, since everyone is interested in Class 66 is gathering again today, let's fight together." "Fight where?" Ying Liang and Bai Juanhao asked in unison, the two rubbing their palms together. "The Four Ministers' Pavilion. How far should we fight? Exterminate those sons of Cheese of Supreme Elders." Cloud Spirit Mountain, Four Seas. This place was surrounded by the sea, but the mountain range was like a horned dragon that stretched for tens of thousands of miles. There was a Four Ministers' Pavilion on Cloud Spirit Mountain, majestic. It was 70,000 feet tall, and there were many ancient palaces around the pavilion. It had the aura of a famous sect. "Yin Sanghai, Yin Ming, get out here, you two old dogs." An angry roar was heard, and the sound was like a raging wave, shattering the mountains and rivers and shaking the wind and clouds. The waves in all directions were shaken, and huge waves that were hundreds of feet high surged continuously. Some of the disciples with lower cultivations were dizzy, and some even fainted on the spot. "How dare you? Who dares to offend the Four Ministers' Pavilion?" The angry roar suddenly rang out, and the territory directly below the Four Ministers' Pavilion activated the sect's protective array. A pale green energy shield protected an area of thousands of miles. Bang! Unexpectedly, a strong wind kick, mixed with dragon power that could move mountains and fill the sea, burst forth with wind calamity battle chi that cut through the void and shattered the energy shield. One blow. Their sect's protective array was shattered with just one blow. The disciples of the Four Ministers' Pavilion were shocked. This was a sect's protective array that could withstand the attack of a late-stage, fifth-level Yuan Venerate. A few afterimages suddenly appeared in the void. They were dressed in green robes and had white hair and long beards. looking very much like those sage-like old seniors. The two people in the lead were late stage and mid-stage, 7th level Yuan Venerate. The dragon light tore through the clouds, and the profound azure dragon broke through the clouds and lay on the horizon. A group of young figures stood in front of the dragon's head. From today onwards, the Four Ministers Pavilion officially disappears from the spirit state. All unrelated disciples must leave immediately, or their lives will be in the hands of the heavens. The silver-robed figure in front of the dragon's head announced loudly. The elders and disciples of the Four Ministers Pavilion could not help but turn pale when they felt the suffocating pressure of the profound azure dragon. Oomph. You're young, but you talk big. The Four Ministers Pavilion has been in the spirit state for thousands of years and has countless powerhouses. How can a brat like you threaten the Four Ministers Pavilion? Yun Songhai, the late-stage, 7th-level Yuan Venerate leader, sneered with a flick of his sleeve. He could see that this kid's strength was extraordinary, and it was his attack that broke the sect's protective array. However, the lineup he brought today was not enough to pose a threat to the survival of the Four Ministers Pavilion. So, it's a helper brought by the girl from the Lung family. It seems that the Four Ministers Pavilion should not have let you off that day. Elder Yun Ming, who was at mid-stage, 7th-level Yuan Venerate, looked at Lung Yuechi beside Lin Shun and laughed maliciously. Chapter 450. There were all sorts of first-rate forces in the spiritual state, and they were considered second-rate forces if they had at least 2 Yuan Venerates. They could be considered first-rate forces if they had 8 Yuan Venerates, and 2 of them were at least at the 5th level of the Yuan Venerate realm. Some first-rate forces had a long history, and forces like the Sacred Sun Temple would even have a war emperor. Of course, this was only a small number. As for the ancient families, they were all powerful families that had survived from ancient times and had countless sovereigns. However, they rarely appeared in the spiritual state. The strongest powerhouse in the Four Prime Minister Pavilion was a late-stage, 7th-level Yuan Venerate. There were 15 Yuan Venerates and 5 4th-level Yuan Venerates. Such a lineup could already be considered top-notch among first-rate factions. However, even though this bone was tough for Lin Shun, it didn't mean that he couldn't chew through it. Wait a minute. 10,000-year profound azure dragon. Could this kid be Lin Shun? The pavilion master of the Four Prime Minister Pavilion exclaimed. Lin Shun? Why? Does this kid have a special background? A 6th-level Grand Elder asked cautiously. The 3 Grand Elders of the Four Prime Minister Pavilion were in seclusion all year round, so they didn't know about Lin Shen's reputation in the spiritual state. This kid is the rising star of the Sky Song Academy. Before the pavilion master of the Four Prime Minister Pavilion could finish his sentence, dozens of streams of wind calamity battle aura shot toward him. The pavilion master of the Four Prime Minister Pavilion retreated in shock when the streams of wind calamity battle aura turned into wind blades. His 4th-level cultivation couldn't withstand such an attack. The Grand Elder, the mid-6th-level Grand Elder, stretched out his hand and clawed out. His 5 fingers shattered the void and blocked Lin Chen's attack. Lin Chen, you and I have no grudges in the past. Why did you make such a big deal out of it? Can we sit down and talk? Is there a misunderstanding between us? The pavilion master said hurriedly. Lin Chen's lips curled into a sneer. Misunderstanding? Go ask Yin Songhai and Yun Ming, those 2 old dogs. The pavilion master looked at the 2 elders in panic. They were silent, and his heart skipped a beat. Seeing that Lung Yuechi was present, Yun Songhai knew the reason in his heart. After exchanging a glance with Yun Ming, the 2 of them reached a consensus. Since these 2 old dogs don't speak, they naturally have some idea in their hearts. Today I said that I will destroy your Four Prime Ministers Pavilion, so I will definitely wipe you out. Even the words of the King of Heaven don't work. Lin Shen's eyes revealed an ominous glint. He suddenly activated the Phantom Rune. Class 66, Lin Tianjian, and the rest leaped down from the dragon's head. According to the original plan, Lin Shun was responsible for dealing with the three highest fighting forces of the other side, while the rest of the people went to destroy the grand formation of the Four Ministers' Pavilion. If they were to activate the grand formation of the inner pavilion, it would unite the power of the entire Four Ministers and concentrate it on the three Taishang elders. Every one of the four prime ministers activate the grand formation of the inner pavilion and fight. Don't let them succeed. The pavilion master of the four prime minister shouted anxiously. He had watched the battle in the Sky Spirit Battle Tower. Lin Shun had even passed through the 9th level, so his combat strength was comparable to at least 2 7th-level Yuan Venerates. Rumble. Lin Shen's 2 phantom doppelgangers used the astral treading teleportation technique and crippled the 2 3rd-level Yuan Venerate elders who were about to activate the grand formation. Inside the four prime ministers' pavilion, Class 66 and the rest, led by Lin Shen's doppelgangers, immediately charged into the four prime ministers' pavilion. The entire mountain range fell into chaos. Some of the outer pavilion disciples had already fled in panic, leaving only a few inner pavilion disciples who were hesitant. Not good. His doppelgangers actually used them without any warning. We can't let him destroy the foundation of the four prime ministers' pavilion. The pavilion master's expression changed slightly. He changed his movement technique and rushed down, leading the entire four prime ministers' Yuan Venerates to fight Lin Shen's doppelgangers. In the void, Yueqi, wait for me here. I will personally capture these 2 old dogs alive. Lin Shen turned to look at Lung Yueqi. His gaze suddenly became much gentler as he smiled and said, "Take it as a way to comfort my future father-in-law and mother-in-law. Okay, be careful. I'll wait for you." Lung Yueqi gazed at Lin Chun tenderly. The green dragon turned into a stream of light and attached itself to Lin Shen's body. Lin Shen's 3rd doppelganger carried a purple scabbard black saber and guarded Lung Yueqi closely. The pure power of his main body soared to 100,000 dragon power points. "Do you think you can fight the 3 of us alone?" Yin Songhai was so angry that he laughed. The pavilion master secretly transmitted his voice. "Patriarch, be careful. This lad has the strength of at least 2 7th-level Yuan Venerates. Don't be careless." As soon as he said that, the 2 old men's expressions changed. Lin Shen's body surged with battle chi that blotted out the sky and covered the moon. 9 brilliance change. First change. The Thunder Calamity battle body suddenly exploded. Lin Shen's body released thousands of lightning bolts. Thousands of thunder roared and the wind and clouds changed abruptly. His battle chi soared to the early stage of level 3. Second change. The Wind Calamity battle body merged into an endless wind eye and swallowed everything. Lin Shen's Wind Calamity battle chi shattered the space crystal wall with just a glance. Mid-stage of level 3. Third change. The Gung Metal battle chi hung in the sky like a Milky Way. The Gold Calamity battle body transformed, and every strand of Lin Shen's hair glowed with an invincible sharpness. Late stage of level 3. Fourth change. Millions of volcanoes erupted at the same time. The mountains rumbled and the earth rumbled. A sea of fire swept across the sky. The Fire Calamity battle body was like the end of the world. The 4th battle Chi Yuan Palace condensed. Early stage of level 4. Fifth change, activate. The surging dark battle chi was like a bottomless hell that spanned across the sky. The aura of the Dark Calamity battle body was like the sun and moon in the sky, making Lin Shen look like a demon king that had descended upon the world. Finally, his cultivation stopped at the late stage of level 4. At that moment, all the Yuan Venerates within a radius of 100,000 miles were alarmed. The aura of the 5 Heaven Calamity battle bodies fused together and was released in the form of the 9 Brilliance change. The battle chi fluctuation was equivalent to a large-scale mixed Heaven Calamity suddenly descending. One overbearing battle chi fluctuation. Isn't that the direction of the 4 prime pavilions? What exactly is going on? There's a big battle in the 4 prime pavilions. What's going on? Could it be related to the infiltration of the Long clan's Holy Maiden a few days ago? Many powerhouses looked on in shock. The 4 prime pavilions were a subsidiary force of the Muron clan. They were backed by genuine ancient families. Who would dare to touch them? When the 5 transformations of the 9 brilliance transformations were completed in less than half a breath's time, the 3 Grand Supreme Elders' expressions revealed shock. They could still feel the aura of Lin Chen's Heaven Calamity battle body from thousands of miles away. It was so tyrannical that even late-stage level 7 prime pavilions trembled. Attack! Suppress him! The moment Yun Songhai shouted, the 3 supreme elders attacked. Blue veins popped out on their arms as battle chi condensed like dragon patterns and fiercely clawed out. 12 light, white dragon claw marks crossed the sky and suddenly attacked Lin Shun, who was thousands of miles away. This was the 3rd move of the 4 prime Azure Dragon. It was a half-purple grade technique of the 4 prime pavilions. Against this junior, the 3 Supreme Elders did not hesitate to use their strongest attack on Lin Shun. Chapter 451. The aura of the 7 apocalyptic battle bodies soared crazily. Lin Chen's body emitted a faint cyan light. Talent points decreased by 1,000. His rune points decreased by 150. Ultimate moment, Shura's 9 glory change. 5 changes. Lin Chen's strength had reached an unprecedented peak. He wielded the 5 dragons' imperial spear at extreme speed, unleashing his 100,000 dragon power points. Dark spear shadows shot into the sky and pierced through all the dragon claw marks. 1,000 demons' piercing heart. The vast dark light pierced through the void and crushed the 3's attacks. It didn't weaken at all and continued to attack the 3. Lin Chen's palm shook fiercely, and the power of his spear became even more ferocious, causing the 3 people's expressions to change greatly. How can this kid be so strong? Retreat. Yin Songhai wanted to cover the other 2's retreat. He slapped 3 times in a row, and the wood energy turned into dozens of wood energy palms. They stacked on top of each other and suppressed Qianyu. The terrifying weight of the battle aura crushed the crystal walls within 1,000 miles. The dark light spear shadows pierced through the wood energy palms, and countless spear shadows pierced through Yun Songhai. Although the other 2 managed to escape the attack range, he was severely injured. How can this be? This kid destroyed half of my purple sun armor with 1 strike. Blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. Yun Songhai clutched the broken purple sun armor in front of his chest. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Half of his superior rank 6 life-saving weapon had been destroyed by Lin Shun. Lin Shun, who had reached the late stage of Tier 4, relied on the ultimate moment, the penetration rune, and the power of the 7 apocalypse battle bodies. He didn't even need to use the charging rune to break through Yun Songhai's defense. Rip! A flash of lightning flashed by at an unimaginable speed. 9 streaks of black dragon inscriptions swirled around his palm as he slapped the 6th Heaven Intermediate Stage Elder. Oh no! The mid-stage Tier 6 Elder was terrified. He subconsciously activated his battle aura to defend himself. Bang! 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 The dark dragon energy twisted and exploded, shattering the Elder's battle aura defense. He fell from the sky, covered in blood. He was unconscious and didn't know if he was dead or alive. The incomparably ferocious dragon claw suddenly attacked, and the golden battle spear swept out. Yun Songhai desperately approached Lin Shun, madly trying to delay his movements. Hurry up and catch that brat's woman. Yun Songhai transmitted his voice at the top of his lungs. Yinming immediately understood what he meant. His body shuttled back and forth like a streak of starlight, and in just a few steps, he appeared not far away from Long Yuechi. Yun Songhai had thought that Lin Shan would recklessly rush over, but he didn't expect that Lin Shan would actually focus all of his attention on the battle with him. As the Golden War spear swung and smashed repeatedly, Lin Shan suppressed a late-stage, 7th-rank powerhouse and could only barely defend himself. Are you kidding me? Isn't he worried about his woman? Yin Songhai was shocked, but he was more confident that he would win. This guy dared to attack the 4' Minister Pavilion for his woman. As long as he controlled his woman, he would not dare to act rashly. On the other side, facing Yun Ming's attack, Lin Shan's phantom doppelganger stepped out indifferently and grasped the hilt of the purple-sheathed black saber in his hand. When Lin Shan performed the ultimate moment, only his real body was effective. If he wanted his doppelganger to enter the ultimate moment state, he would have to spend additional talent points. Therefore, the phantom doppelganger at this moment was only Lin Shan activating the strength of the 5th stage. Do you think a mere doppelganger like you can stop my real body? Die. Yun Ming grinned hideously and slapped his palms forward. His 5 fingers were filled with the aura of destruction, and the dark green battle aura in all directions was destroyed by the dragon claw marks. Clang! Bang! 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 With a sound that sounded like a dragon's roar, the phantom doppelganger unsheathed the saber. The saber aura was as thin and condensed as a horizontal line, cutting through the void. Even the light within 1,000 miles was caught in the cycle of reincarnation, and the void instantly fell into eternal darkness. What kind of saber technique is this? Yun Ming's pupils trembled slightly as he sucked in a breath of cold air. Just as he was about to retreat, a stream of light flashed past and cut through the spatial crystal wall. Blood sprayed out from his arm. Yun Ming, who was in the middle of the 7th stage, had his arm cut off by the phantom doppelganger, who was in the late 4th stage. This scene was reflected in the eyes of the surrounding experts, and they couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. It's Lin Shan. How did the 4 ministers provoke him? No wonder he was able to enter the 9th floor. My goodness, he broke through the attack of the middle of the 7th stage with a single saber strike and cut off an arm? Because Lin Shan had unsheathed his saber so quickly, no one could see that the saber had already returned to the scabbard the moment the eternal night was unsheathed. Yun Ming bit the tip of his tongue and changed his hand seals rapidly. 4 ministers' life sacrifice. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth converged into a terrifying vortex of blood clouds. Seeing this scene, the expressions of the elders of the 4 ministers all changed. No, don't. 2 grand ancestors, please reconsider. A large number of elders of the 4 ministers, including the pavilion master, wailed. Seeing this, Yun Songhai flew back and made the same hand seals as Yun Ming. Bang! 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 Countless explosions occurred in the 4 ministers. All the elders above the 5th stage of the Heaven Star border realm exploded into a bloody mist. Boundless bloody mist began to rise rapidly into the sky and converge into Yun Ming and Yun Songhai's bodies. Their cultivation began to fluctuate, and Yun Ming's cultivation temporarily stepped into the late stage of the 7th stage. As for Yun Songhai, he vaguely touched upon the 8th stage. However, the price was that more than half of the 4 ministers were destroyed. All the elders were killed, and the current pavilion master was no exception. You don't even need to hesitate to kill your own people. Lin Shan sneered indifferently. He used another 1,000 talent points to maintain his ultimate moment. Yun Ming, let's kill this brat together. Don't bother about his woman. Yun Ming transmitted his voice to Yun Ming. He gave up on Lung Yueqi and surrounded Lin Shan. Clearly, they had paid a heavy price and didn't plan to capture Lung Yueqi alive. Instead, they planned to take Lin Shan's life. No matter who you are, you will bear all the losses that you have caused the 4 ministers to suffer today. Yin Songhai's hair was messy, and he looked cold and crazy. He and Yun Ming instantly reached out and pointed their fingers at the void. 2 giant fingers of energy that could shatter the crystal walls of space pressed toward Lin Shan. 100,000 dragon power erupted like 10,000 dragons. Lin Shen activated the Azure Dragon's divine ability, the profound Azure Dragon domain, to slightly slow down the attack of the energy fingers. At the same time, the 5 dragons' imperial spear stabbed out rapidly, and 2 streaks of spear light crossed the sky. The spear light collided with the energy fingers, and an earth-shattering explosion swept across the sky. In the sky above the 4 ministers, Lin Shen's other 2 doppelgangers hurriedly protected the people of Class 66. In the void, the 2 elders retreated a dozen or so steps, and Lin Shen only managed to stabilize himself after retreating 50 steps. It seems that if I don't use the recharge rune, the 5-fold transformation and the ultimate moment will be my limit against the peak and late stage 7th stage. Lin Shen made up his mind. Seeing that Lin Shen was beaten back, the 2 elders were confident that victory was in their hands, and they immediately followed up with another attack. As their battle auras surged, they unleashed another finger to crush Lin Shen. Chapter 452. Lin Shen's body was instantly covered with surging dark energy and fire tribulation flames from hell, causing his body to grow more than 30 meters tall and condense into a brilliant demon. Charging, penetration rune, brilliant demon worships the heavens. Lin Shen transformed into a brilliant demon and held the 5 dragons' imperial spear with both hands. The 5 dragons' imperial spear was intertwined with abyss-like dark battle chi. When he furiously stabbed out, the tip of the spear shot out a spiral spear light that was intertwined with dark fire. It was like a rainbow crossing the sun, crossing tens of thousands of meters in the sky, containing the power to shatter the chaos. Well, what? How can this be the power of a late-stage 4th layer? The 2's incomplete purple rank battle skill, Meteor Finger, was suddenly crushed. The spear light pierced through the 2 and swept through the sky. There was no earth-shattering momentum, only a flash of silence. Heaven and earth returned to silence. Countless dark sparks dotted the sky, fluttering in the wind. It was as if the world was in a desperate situation. In the void, a purple phoenix flapped its wings, and the Azure Dragon appeared. It bit the 3 people and threw the 3 elders in front of Lung Yuechi like throwing dead dogs. At this time, the 3 elders were dying. Their limbs were broken, and even their battle chi natal palaces were sealed by the Azure Dragon's dragon breath. They couldn't even self-destruct. Many experts watching the battle couldn't help but tremble. To be able to capture 3 supreme elders of the 4 prime ministers alive, just how strong was Lin Shen? Are you going to end them with your own hands? Lin Shen stepped into the air and flew over. After dispelling the 5-layer transformations and the ultimate moment, an extremely drained and weak feeling came from his body. This was especially true for his battle force. After using the ultimate moment twice in a row, Lin Shen's battle force had been depleted to the point where it was about to affect the foundation of his battle chi natal palace. Are you okay? Lung Yuechi hurriedly supported Lin Shen. He shook his head and smiled. After swallowing 2 Xianming pellets, his complexion improved. He softly said to the beauty, "If we kill these 2 people, I believe your parents will be able to rest in peace. In the future, don't do those risky things again." Okay, Lung Yuechi happily agreed. Then, her expression returned to its usual coldness as she questioned the 3. "Back then, were you the ones who killed my parents? My parents shouldn't have any grievances with your 4 prime ministers. Why did you commit murder?" The dying Yin Sanhai looked at Lung Yuechi with a cold smile on his face. "Little girl, how can there be so many reasons? Your parents were carrying out a clan mission, and the target of the mission was the 7-color glaze flower that we wanted. We were just following the law of the jungle. Your parents' skills were inferior, so they were defeated by us. It was only natural that they died, wasn't it? It's just that I didn't expect their descendants to grow so fast, and even let you bring such a strong helper. It's really our miscalculation. If we had known earlier, we wouldn't have been afraid of those three brats from the Heavenly Song Academy and killed all of you together." Yun Ming smiled sinisterly, and the coldness in his eyes made one's heart palpitate. It was as if they no longer regarded human lives as human lives. Lung Yueqi's pretty face turned even paler. Then, a palm wind suddenly penetrated Yun Songhai's body. His 5 fingers pierced through Yun Songhai's body. Lin Chen's gaze was so cold that it was somewhat gloomy. He smiled emotionlessly and said, "Since you all have followed the law of the jungle, then it is only right for me to eliminate you all now, right?" Lung Yueqi covered her sobs. Lin Chen smashed their skulls with a palm strike. The 3 of them died on the spot, and a large number of attribute light balls rolled down. Host has defeated a strong enemy and triggered a special reward mechanism. 1 purple crystal treasure chest has been obtained. Lin Chen hugged Lung Yueqi for a long time before she finally calmed down. Just as the 2 of them were about to speak, a crack suddenly appeared in the void, and a cold laugh echoed through the sky. "Very good, very good. Lin Shun from the Heavenly Song Academy. You actually dared to destroy the subordinate forces of the Morong family. I'll capture you first and let the Vice Dean of the Heavenly Song Academy come to the Morong family to retrieve you." As soon as he finished speaking, an energy crystal seal that could suppress eternity crashed down from the sky. It was an attack from a peak, 9th level Yuan Venerate. It was a powerhouse from the Morong family. Just as they were about to rush to the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion, they discovered that the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion had been destroyed in such a short time. "How dare you mention our Vice Dean? Coward who hides his head and tail, scram." 2 streaks of battle chi light rays that spanned thousands of miles collided and crushed the energy crystal seal. 3 figures slowly stepped into the air. They were Meng Qianma, the Vice Dean, and another senior elder of the Academy. Heavenly Song Academy? The Morong family Yuan Venerate, who had yet to show himself, exclaimed. His aura dissipated as he hurriedly fled. "Little fellow, did you enjoy destroying a first-rate force single-handedly?" Meng Qianma landed beside Lin Shun. Her small and delicate body jumped in front of him. Her beautiful blue eyes sparkled as she smiled. "It was very enjoyable. I even want to do it again." Lin Shun chuckled, but suddenly coughed violently. Everyone wanted to ask him about it, but he waved his hand and smiled. "I'm fine. I just overexerted myself. I'll find some time to recuperate later, and I'll be fine. By the way, how did the elders find me?" Meng Qianma rolled her eyes at him and played with her hair. "The Vice Dean noticed you as soon as you left the Academy. You are now the hope of the entire Academy. Even the Vice Dean came out to meet you personally. We can't let anything happen to you." At this point, Lin Shin cupped his fists at the Vice Dean very seriously. "Thank you, Vice Dean. Haha, you are now a famous person in the entire spirit state. Whether it is in Tianzhou or the spirit state, there are many people who want your life. Naturally, I have to keep a close eye on you." The Vice Dean covered her mouth and chuckled. This seemed to be the most energetic moment Lin Chen had ever seen her. At this time, everyone from Class 66 rushed back excitedly. They were holding a large number of high-grade weapons, spirit receiving rings, and all kinds of cultivation techniques. They were all the property of the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion. They had actually stolen the property of the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion. Their skillful methods were exactly the same as Lin Chen's. Ha ha ha, as expected of a first-rate force. They even have top-grade blue-tier cultivation techniques. We have struck it rich. Bai Juanhao and the others laughed excitedly. When they saw the Vice Dean, they were even more excited. This legendary figure was equivalent to a godlike existence in Class 66, who came from the Waste Realm. The Vice Dean did not put on any airs and calmly communicated with everyone. In her opinion, these young children were full of possibilities. Lin Chen laughed and shook his head. Then, he took the attribute light balls dropped by the 3 Grand Elders of the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion, the purple crystal treasure chest, and the purple light pillar floating in the void, and their spirit receiving rings. Host has received 850 Heaven's Path points, 100 Cultivation Technique Essence points, 5,800 blood essence points, 12,540 battle aura essence points, 1 spirit point. Host has received cultivation technique attribute light ball. Received top grade blue tier cultivation technique. Host has received 1,500 talent points, 25 wood elemental energy points. Host has opened the purple crystal treasure chest. Received 10,000 talent points. Boom! Lin Shen's third battle Chi Natal Palace was successfully condensed. The Vice Dean looked at Lin Chun in amazement. He had stepped into the third level Yuan Venerate realm just by grabbing the air. This little guy was really full of secrets. Chapter 453. Because Lin Shun had set up the 10,000 layer fire web technique, no one other than the Vice Dean could see through Lin Shen's true cultivation. The system status bar popped up. Congratulations, host, for reaching the early third level Yuan Venerate realm. Heavenly Path Possession System version 4.0 Host. Lin Shen Cultivation. Early third level Yuan Venerate realm. Limit 53,000 Dragon Power Points. Intermediate. Level 1 to 4 Blood Energy. 158,700 points. Intermediate Battle Chi Essence. 156,400 points. Intermediate Mind Power. 12 points. Mid Transcendence Realm. Intermediate Cultivation Technique Soul Essence. 1,200 points. Intermediate Rune Energy. 2,655 points. Heaven Path Points. 33,590 points. Talent Points. 38,750 points. Intermediate Elemental Energy. 59 points for Fire Element. 47 points for Earth Element. 49 points for Wood Element. 35 points for Metal Element. 36 points for Water Element. 27 points for Lightning Element. 29 points for Wind Element. 5 points for Light Element. 88 points for Dark Element. Cultivation Technique Status Bar, Open. Bloodline Status Bar, Open. Passive Talents. Reinforced Iron Bones 15%. Life Increase 30% Active Talents. Final Moment. God Slayer Fragment. 2/3. Attribute Runes. Level 4 Slowing Rune. Level 4 Penetration Rune. Level 4 Charging Rune. Level 4 Illusion Rune. Treasures in Possession. 482 types of tier. 6 medicinal herbs. 22 types of tier. 6 elixirs. 11 types of tier. 6 peak battle skills, 7 types of tier, 6 low-grade battle weapons, 4 types of tier, 6 advanced battle weapons, 3 types of half-purple battle skills, 1 type of incomplete purple battle skill. Lin Shen had obtained a large number of Battle Chi Essence attribute light balls after the battle at the 4 Prime Pavilions. He had finally broken through the bottleneck and reached the third level Yuan Venerate realm. Apart from that, his 9 calamities of creation already had 8 types of calamity battle bodies. Only the last type, the light calamity battle body, was left. Lin Shun had obtained a new high-grade cultivation technique after seizing the 3 Elders' Spirit Storage Rings. System, I would like to use 10,000 talent points to strengthen life increase. 10,000 talent points have been used to strengthen life increase to 50%. A numb warm current flowed through Lin Chen's body. This was the first time he had used the 5th transformation, 9 Brilliance transformation, coupled with the Xianming elixir and the breakthrough in his talent. He recovered. I'll find a chance to fuse them together again. Who knows, I might be able to obtain a new complete purple tier cultivation method. Lin Shun shut down the system. The vice principal immediately said to him with a serious expression, "You need to prepare and finish everything you need to do in the spiritual state. Don't miss it. The spiritual state is no longer a place for you to stay." Although there are many resources and secret realms in the academy that are suitable for you, the most suitable one is still the most prosperous divine land. If you can enter the firmament tower in the divine land, your growth rate will skyrocket. Lin Chen's eyes lit up when he heard the Vice Dean talking about the Divine Land. He asked, "What's the Firmament Tower?" Everyone in Class 66 also cast curious gazes. Divine Land's Firmament Tower. This was probably the most colorful piece of history in Jiuzhou. The Firmament Tower is the most popular place in the Divine Prefecture and also the most mysterious place in the Nine States. It is a supreme treasure that has existed since the immemorial era. The space inside is endless and vast, containing countless opportunities and dangers. It is said that the entire Jiuzhou continent combined might not be as vast as the space inside the tower. The Firmament Tower is a place that all the peak masters in the Nine States yearn for. As long as you can enter it, you will have a chance to become stronger. Even the combat emperors are no exception. There are even saints in the tower. It is the most precious civilization in the history of the Nine States. When the Vice Dean talked about the Firmament Tower, her beautiful eyes shone with endless charm and nostalgia. Beside her, Meng Qianma secretly whispered to Lin Shun, "I heard that the Vice Dean met our Dean in the Firmament Tower. Then, she was delayed by our Dean and had to help him manage the Tinga General Hospital." Lin Shun suddenly understood. The Vice Dean glanced at Meng Qianma, and the latter immediately shut up. "Anyway, you should take care of everything in the spiritual state. After you are fully prepared, you will depart for the Divine Land. If you have anything you want to do, I will try my best to help you." The Vice Dean's words made Lin Chen's eyes light up. "Vice Dean, you said it yourself." Seeing Lin Chen's fearless eyes, Meng Qianma's heart trembled. What is this guy trying to do? He chuckled evilly as he enunciated each and every word clearly. "I want the Vice Dean. Come with me to the Ning family." The Ning family was located in the southernmost area of the spiritual state. In the recent hundreds of years, the Ning family had changed their style and became very low-key. But today, the Ning family would welcome a special guest. Ning family, Qianyang Mountain Range. This was the entrance to the Ning family's base camp. Today, Elder Ning Xiao, who was guarding the mountain range, was very free. He was about to find a beautiful woman to sing, dance, play chess, and play ball with when a dragon's aura swept across the sky from tens of thousands of feet high. The tens of thousands of feet long, dark azure dragon's body was vast like an upside-down galaxy. Its aura was majestic, and it looked down on the world. "Who is it? How dare you come to the Ning family and cause trouble? Do you want to die?" Elder Ning Xiao stepped into the air, and a dozen Heaven Star Border Stage 9 masters around him formed a combat formation. "Want to die? Elder, don't be so rude. I'm here to propose marriage today." On the dragon's head, the silver-robed young man crossed his arms in front of his chest casually. "Lin Shun, so it's you who came to the Ning family. I wonder which girl Lin Shun likes." Seeing the visitor, Elder Ning Xiao immediately cupped his fists respectfully. "It's not up to you to decide who I like. I want to enter the Ning family now. I don't know if you'll let me in or not. Although I'll go in regardless of whether you let me in or not." Lin Shun laughed mockingly. Elder Ning Xiao froze. In the Ning family's inner space, hundreds of thousands of miles of mountains and rivers were opened up here. It was simple and grand, and it had the aura of the wilderness and ancient martial arts civilization. It was very ancient and respectable. On the peak of the mountain, in the Ning family's Imperial Army's training ground, an armored young man was training 100 geniuses in the field. He was Ning Zhan, who had fought with Lin Shun before. Rumble. The dragon's aura was vast and mighty, and it pierced through the entire sky. The Imperial Army on the peak of the mountain looked up in shock. A vast and shocking 10,000-year black azure dragon flew over the Ning family sky. When Ning Zhan saw the silver-robed young man on the dragon's head, his expression changed drastically. It's Lin Shun? This name was too famous in the spiritual state. After a while, it would reach the point where everyone would know about it. Thinking back to 3 years ago, Ning Zhan was still able to exchange blows with Lin Shun. Today, 3 years later, he was only at Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 8. For someone like Lin Shun, he could crush him countless times with a flip of his hand. As if he felt Ning Zhan's gaze, Lin Shun turned his head slightly with a casual smile on his face. It was exactly the same as it was back then, but now it looked so mocking and powerless. Even the elders in the family can't compare to him. let alone me. What a monster. No wonder the young lady likes him. He didn't even need 10 years. In just 2 years, his legend has spread all over the spiritual state. Ning Zhan smiled bitterly and waved his hand. Okay, stop looking. Whatever happens, it's not something we can interfere with. Continue training. Chapter 454. In the Void. Lin Shun, who was standing proudly on the head of the Azure Dragon, looked down at the many geniuses and descendants of the Ning family, and a sense of pride rose in his heart. Even the once arrogant prodigies, saints, and saintesses of the Ning family could only crawl in front of him now. Previously, he was also afraid of this colossal existence. Now, it seems that the Ning family scenery is not so mysterious, and it doesn't have the conflicting feeling that I imagined. The youth smiled, and an unprecedented earthquake began to faintly rise within the Ning family. This is the Ning family? So powerful, to be able to build such a huge plane and world out of thin air and maintain it so stable. Han Yiji was amazed. This kind of work was worthy of being one of the top ancient families. It was many times stronger than the Han family. I wonder how big Sister Ning Qingxian is. I hope we can save her this time. Lu Lin closed her eyes and prayed. That's right. She is destined to be married off to whoever she is born to. It's like treating people like goods. Fortunately, our Yu family doesn't do this kind of thing. Otherwise, I would have torn down the house long ago. Yu Lin angrily stomped his feet. Lin Shun told everyone the purpose of this trip to the Ning family, including part of Ning Qingshuan's background. Everyone sympathized with this girl who seemed to be the center of attention, but was actually living like a puppet. They were very supportive of Lin Shun entering the Ning family this time. Lin Lang, I hope we can save Miss Ning Qingxian this time. As a girl, she is really too pitiful. Yun Manqing couldn't bear it. She held Lin Chen's hand and stared at him pleadingly. Although you and Miss Qingxian haven't met many times, you are probably the only friend she has contacted. Don't make me look down on you. Lung Yueqi smiled sweetly. Lin Chen nodded seriously. Of course. This time, the vice principal is helping us. If they don't hand her over, I don't mind snatching her. When the vice principal heard this, he couldn't help but shake his head and laugh. This little guy was really fearless. Lin Shun of Heavenly Song Academy, and everyone from Heavenly Song Academy, welcome to the Ning clan. At this moment, 2 white-haired old men appeared out of thin air, holding crutches. One of them had even met Lin Shun in the waste region of the 24 domains. Who would have thought that the brat who was only in the Heavenly Dipper realm could reach such a height in just 3 years? Ordinary people could spend tens, hundreds, or even thousands of years, but they might not be able to achieve even a tenth of what he had done. Grandmaster Alchemist, Grandmaster Blacksmith, top-notch fortune teller. Any one of these identities would be treated as an honored guest of the Ning clan. So it's old man Yao. Meng Qianma curled her lips and rolled her eyes, which made the other white-haired elders' eyelids twitch. It was this little devil girl who came to their Ning clan. Everyone, the head of the Ning clan, would like to invite everyone down for a chat. He has already been waiting for everyone in the main hall of the Ning clan. The 2 old men gestured for Lin Shun to enter. His purple-gold eyes flashed, and Lin Shun could vaguely sense that these 2 old men were 8th-level Yuan venerates. In the Ning family, they would be considered high-ranking elders. I didn't expect the legendary head of the Ning clan to appear. Lin Shun smiled and waved his hand, sending the 10,000-year black-green dragon flying at a low altitude. Hey, Lin Shun, I wonder if you can keep your green dragon. It's not in line with the rules of the Ning clan. Elder Yao rubbed his hands and smiled apologetically. Lin Shun raised his eyebrows and laughed mockingly. Sorry, I like to have my green dragon follow me. I don't feel safe without it. After all, I'm only a 3rd-level Yuan venerate. I'm pitiful, weak, and helpless. Besides being handsome, I have nothing. Lin Chen's words seemed like a joke. However, They were actually soft and firm, which made the two elders' expressions change slightly. In the end, Lin Shen whistled, and the 10,000-year black green dragon's size increased by 30%. This action was basically telling the Ning clan that Lin Shen had no intention of following their rules when he came to propose marriage. The main hall of the Ning clan stood on top of the Cloud Mountain. The 10,000-year black-green dragon landed on the peak of the Cloud Mountain. Lin Shen walked into the main hall of the Cloud Mountain, with everyone following closely behind. The main hall was quiet and sparsely populated. Clearly, they had been dismissed. Only 5 elders and a middle-aged man in green robes were left. What a rare guest. The legendary 4-time champion of the Heavenly Spirit List meet, Lin Shen. What brings you to the Ning clan? The middle-aged man stood up and cupped his fists with a smile. However, the 5 elders in the main hall didn't move at all. Tisk, it's just 5 half-step combat emperors. What are they putting on airs for? Meng Qianma muttered to herself in disdain. 2 of the elders suddenly opened their eyes, and a glint flashed across their eyes. Where did this little kid come from? How dare he be so rude? Great Aunt Meng Qianma, why don't you come out and fight if you don't like it? Just don't say that I bullied the elders after this. Meng Qianma also had a bad temper. She waved her fists and laughed disdainfully. She was once the only purple merit warrior of her generation in the Heavenly Song Academy. Even though she was only at the peak of the 9th level of the Yuan Venerate realm, she wasn't afraid of facing a half-step combat emperor. Oh, so it's Miss Meng Qianma. Please don't take offense. The elders of the Ning clan have been in seclusion for many years, and their eccentricity has become a habit. Please forgive them. The man in green robes nodded slightly and smiled politely. Meng Qianma didn't push her luck. Instead, she sized up the man in front of her seriously. He was the current head of the Ning clan, Ning Yintian. He was a genuine combat emperor. This person was already a peerless genius in the spiritual state thousands of years ago. In order to step into the War Emperor realm, one must have the boldness to destroy both jade and common stone. Back then, the head of the Ning family dared to shatter 9 battle-chi natal palaces at a young age. When he was in his prime, he dared to carry out the self-destructive cultivation and breakthrough. He dared to fight for that one in 1,000 chance of success. Just this boldness alone was admirable. My knowledge is shallow. May I know who this lady is? Ning Yintian cupped his fists at the vice principal. He couldn't detect the background and cultivation of this lady. It was as if she was just a mortal standing there quietly. However, as a combat emperor, he couldn't detect the background of this person. This showed how terrifying this lady's background was. You must be the head of the Ning clan, right? This is the vice principal of our academy. When she heard that I was here to propose marriage, she came over to check with me. She also thought that the Ning clan scenery is unique, and she hopes to see it again next time. Lin Shen cupped his fists in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. The corners of his lips curled up as he emphasized the words hope and next time. The vice principal of the Sky Song Academy. This title made the 5 half-step combat emperors stand up in shock. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that this kind of person was unparalleled in the 9 states. She actually came to the Ning clan personally. Ning Yuntian's hands trembled a few times, and his pupils quivered. He nodded and smiled. So it's the vice principal who came personally. Yintian is blind. I will immediately arrange a banquet of the highest level to entertain all of you. Chapter 455. Let's put the banquet aside for now. Master Ning, I don't like to beat around the bush. I'll just say one thing. I'm here to propose marriage to Miss Ning Qingxian of your Ning family. I hope that Master Ning can fulfill my wish. Of course, I've already prepared the betrothal gift. It's on the back of the Azure Dragon outside. Lin Shen's request made Ning Yintian frown, but he still smiled. Well, Ning Qingxian is a little special. It's not convenient for her to accept any marriage request. How about Lin Shen change it? With your identity and potential, Any saintess of the Ning family can accept your request, except for Ning Qingxian. What if I say I want her? Lin Shen smiled innocently. The whole hall fell into a dead silence. The atmosphere in the hall faintly felt like a crossbow was about to break out. Ning family, Clear Moon Palace. Sister, he's here. Lin Shen actually came to our Ning family. In the palace, the little girl in the green veil jumped up and down, shouting excitedly. Another beauty in the palace who was still in the state of cultivation slowly opened her eyes. Her eyes, which had no spiritual aura before, were filled with ripples and fluctuations. He's here? Ning Qingxian suddenly stood up. Her green eyes became extremely clear and pure, like a child chasing a red dragonfly, yearning for the blue sea and the blue sky. I'm going to find him. I'm going to find him. Ning Qingxian ran out of the palace like crazy. When she was about to fly into the sky, a shadow appeared and blocked her way. Miss Ning Qingxian, where are you going? It was a rather handsome young man in red. He had phoenix eyes, sword-like eyebrows, and a jade-like face with delicate facial features. I'm going to find him. Ning Qingxian clenched her teeth and moved lightly. Using her body movement, she rushed towards the hall of the Ning family. The red-clothed young man clenched his fist, and 3 battle aura halos appeared out of thin air, binding Ning Qingxian tightly. You only belong to the Supreme God, and no one can touch you. You must offer it to the gods in its entirety. Other than that, I will help you get rid of any difficulties. The red-clothed youth was expressionless. With a wave of his hand, Ning Qingxian was knocked back into the palace. No. Ning Qingxuan's eyes glistened with tears. She struggled with all her might to escape, but she was trapped within the palace. It seems that something unexpected has happened. It seemed that I have to go and take a look myself. The red-clothed young man stood with his sword on his back. He took a step forward and turned into a wisp of smoke, flying towards the hall. In the hall, the atmosphere was tense, and the pressure was unusually heavy. I'm afraid that won't do. Ning Yuntian shook his head in denial. Although his tone was not harsh, his stance was very firm. In other words, we have nothing to talk about, right? With the 5 dragons' imperial spear in his hand, Lin Shen's lips curved into a cold smile. His actions startled the 5 half-step combat emperors and the 3 higher-ups of the Heavenly Song Academy. Facing the head of the Ning family, he showed no fear and directly showed his claws and teeth. This had nothing to do with the vice principal. He was like a lone wolf who had walked into a dead end. He dared to bite off a piece of meat from anyone who came to him. He had made up his mind. No matter what, he would bring Ning Qingxian with him today. Meng Qianma and the other 3 higher-ups immediately protected everyone and Lin Shen. The vice principal slowly stepped forward, her beautiful eyes flashing with a hint of coldness. With her strength, she dared not say that she could destroy all the combat emperors of the Ning family and their hundreds of thousands of years of accumulation. However, if she wanted to turn this place upside down and try to take away a girl, there was a high chance that she could do it. For Lin Shen, the vice principal would even go to war with the Ning family. Because Lin Shen was in the history of the Heavenly Song Academy. He was also the last proof that she had guarded the academy for so many years. Propose marriage? Just because of a lowly mortal like you? A cold sneer came from outside the hall. A red-clothed young man with a sword on his back slowly walked into the hall. Lord Ling, you are here. When the 5 half-step combat emperors saw the young man, they immediately stood up and bowed respectfully to welcome him. Lord, Ning Yuntian cupped his fists. Just as he was about to speak, the young man raised his hand. Mortal, don't think that you can cause trouble here just because you brought a slightly stronger combat emperor. No matter how strong a combat emperor is, he is like an ant in front of God. The red-clothed young man said arrogantly. Lin Shen raised his eyebrows and sneered. What? From your tone, why do you sound like you're a god? Of course I am not a god, but I am the servant of the Lord God, Ling Yushi. I was fortunate enough to meet a god. A mortal like you who doesn't respect the god is a cancer to the human race in the 9 continents. Clang! The sword was unsheathed, and the wind howled. The wind howled, and the sword energy soared into the sky. Lin Shun sneered in his heart. In the memories he saw in a heavenly spirit battle pagoda, the so-called god regarded those who didn't worship the god as abnormal and malignant tumors. However, Lin Shun at least knew that the guardians of the 9 continents were not the so-called god, but the 100 saints of the human race. Without the protection of the 100 saints, the 9 continents would have fallen into the hands of the demon race. I only need one move to deal with an ant like you. If you can take one move from me, I will no longer care about Miss Ning Qingxian, the red-clothed young man said indifferently. The sword in his hand, spirit illusion, emitted a faint light. This person's cultivation level was actually at the late stage of the 7th level. Judging from his age, he was at most 300 years old, but he had already reached the late stage of the 7th level of the Yuan Venerate realm. This talent and cultivation level might not be unprecedented in the history of the spirit state, but it was at least at a level that could be recorded in the history books. His late stage of the 7th level was completely different from Yun Songhai, who Lin Shun had fought in the 4-minister pavilion. This person's cultivation technique should be at the purple level, and the pressure he gave Lin Shun had completely surpassed that of Yun Songhai in the Battle Pagoda puppet. However, Lin Shun already had 8 types of tribulation battle bodies, and his cultivation level had officially reached the early stage of the 3rd level. He had a strong foundation and dared to fight with an early stage of the 8th level of the Yuan Venerate realm. Are you proud to be a dog of the so-called god? Lin Shun gripped the 5 dragons' imperial spear tightly and stepped forward. His silver robe billowed as the 2 of them stared at each other. Mortals are ants, but a god servant is much stronger than an ant. Even being a dog of a god is a blessing cultivated by 8 lifetimes. Chun Lingxi glanced at Lin Shun disdainfully and continued. How about it? If you don't dare to accept, then take your men and scram immediately. Don't mention Miss Ning Qingxian again. The upper echelons of the Ning family were basically on the side of Chun Lingxi, the god servant. Lin Shun's talent was outstanding, but no matter how outstanding he was, who could guarantee that he could really step into the War Emperor realm, where he had to face death to have a chance of survival? Even if he stepped into the War Emperor realm, what about the Saint realm? Above the Saint realm was the God realm. Even if Lin Shun became a saint, he could not be compared to a god. Therefore, the answer was obvious. No matter what Lin Shun's attitude was today, the Ning family would not give up this opportunity to curry favor with a god, let alone offend a god. One move it is. If you can still stand after one move, I will do a handstand. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.